Friday, you bastards.
If you're a DJ who's also Caucasian, don't even mention the blacks or the Asians. Athletic women with short curly hair. These are the things you can't say on the air. Homeless men talking about things quite disgusting. The FCC through your door will be busting. Bodily functions, don't even go there. These are the things you can't say on the air. When Al Sharpton comes to protest, trouble's on the way. Apologize for all the things that you said and update your resume.
Amen. How timely. And that's even without Joyce. That's just, the regular, ordinary, politically correct FCC regulated crap. Without Joyce. WJ. Hey, it's Friday. George is going to be on at 1 o'clock because I'm getting the hell out of here.
Thanks for the warning.
What do you mean by that? Like I said, George is going to be on about 1:45.
Right.
So let's see what we got going here. We got big news today. Barry Jackass in the Miami Herald. Joe Rose news. We want you, Joe. Come on back. We want you back.
Come on back.
What's that Jackson song?
I want you back.
Want you back. We don't need to play it.
No, good.
Although that's a good idea. Let's play that till 12:45.
I'm doing a media import right now, so.
Talk to the troops. Barry Jackass says Rose remains conflicted on decision. Now, the first paragraph sounds really promising. Popular morning host Joe Rose said yesterday he told 790 the ticket he probably won't re-sign with them, which would pave the way for a move to WQAM. But Rose said he remains conflicted, and I keep going back and forth about a decision. Quit waffling, Joe. We want you back. Come to a real radio station and not a make-believe place with a bunch of goofballs.
A real radio station?
Well,
I guess
listen,
that's a relative
I got to gild the lily a little bit for Joe.
He knows. He's been here already. So.
He's been here 100 times, so he already knows the deal.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he's, hemming and hawing.
You mean the fact he got lied to so many times?
Right. He got jerked around like everybody gets over here.
Boy, you sure are negatory.
Huh?
Can I go on with Barry Jackass's...
If you
we
must.
need him back badly. Badly. Come on, Joe. Tell him you want a blank check. So if Rose says he isn't sure what he wants to do, Barry writes, why did he tell the ticket last week he probably won't re-sign? To get them off my back, he said. Get off my back, Joel, you idiot. You idiot moron.
You fairy.
The ticket has repeatedly pushed for an answer about his future, even though his contract doesn't expire till August 31. Rose understandably doesn't want to be pressured. Nobody likes pressure, baby. No pressure. It's like pushing somebody to marry you, he said. It's pushing me to get married before I want to get married. They can't take a deep breath. 790 wanted an answer a month ago. Rose, the lead sportscaster at NBC6, is not permitted contractually to have contact with WQM until September 1, but QM's interest in his services is no secret. If he moves to WQM, he could begin work the day after his 790 contract ends and would replace Kenny Walker and Kim Bocamper. Oh, then we'd lose all those nifty sports writers like Harvey with the squeaky voice.
Not necessarily.
I think we'd ought to learn how to play on clay.
Wow, and he's got a wife? Anyway, Rose beat WQM's morning show. Do you know what his name is, Chris? Who is that? Harvey what?
Harvey Fialkov.
Harvey what?
Fialkov.
What is that?
I have no idea what he's saying.
Are you saying a name or just making a sound with your mouth?
Both.
Wow. Fialkov. Sounds like some kind of a disease. Rose beat WQM's morning show in the latest ratings book, and if he leaves the ticket, it could swing the balance of a very tight battle between the stations. For the entire day, the ticket beat QM for the first time in the most recent ratings book. Based on a bogus January, by the way, Barry, but that's okay because they're moving in one direction, and we've been, we got issues. My wife and other people close to me keep asking me what I'm going to do, Rose said. I don't know. I keep waiting for a light to turn on. Well, turn the big light on outside there and let Joe see it. Turn that light bulb over his head and remind him what a bozo Joel Feinberg is, what a lunatic. Meanwhile, Rose said the Dolphins have told him that if he moves to QM, he'd be allowed to join Jimmy Syphilis and Jim Mandich in a three-man booth. But Rose said he's not sure if he would do that and wants to talk with Mandich and Syphilis before deciding. The Dolphins are moving their games back to QM after 2 years on the ticket where Syphilis and Rose were the announcers. And by the way, the Dolphins were mighty, mighty, mighty unhappy with the job they did over there, especially, all the way around. The Dolphins and QM have discussed a three-man booth for several months, even before they struck a deal for broadcast rights. The idea momentarily lost steam in late April when other decision-makers raised serious concerns about whether a three-man booth would be one too many, according to an executive directly involved in those discussions. One of many, the decision-makers. Wow. But since then, resistance to a three-man booth has dissipated, largely because QM doesn't want any impediment to discourage Rose from joining the station. We want you, Joe, badly, okay? We'll, each put a pint of blood out on the front doorstep just to get your ass back. And here comes the best part. Here comes, oh, baby. From Barry's mouth to God's ass. If Rose leaves, the ticket likely would move Sid Rosenberg-Steenkrantz to Rose's slot and hire Jason Jackson to follow Boo Shambi's show. Who is Jason Jackson, Chris?
He used to be a local sports guy on the TV. Now he does, Heat coverage and stuff like that.
In other words, he's not qualified to be doing a talk show. The station has talked about the possibility of moving Rosenberg-Steenkrantz to Rose's slot before September if 790 becomes convinced that Rose will leave. Under that scenario, Rose could work at another time slot until his contract expires or leave the air altogether. Just say bye-bye. And I'm assuming they'd have to pay him off. The ticket was still holding out some hope yesterday that Rose would stay. I love Joe, and I want him on my station, said Joel Feinberg, chief executive officer of the ticket. With Joe comes a lot of advertisers and ratings, but if somebody doesn't want to be there, you can't force him to be there. Good thinking, Joel. He has every right to wait out his contract and see what's available to him, but I can't sit around and wait for somebody to tell me on the last day of August that he's going to WQAM. Well, good thinking, Joel. In fact, why not just release him from his contract this weekend and so he can start Monday? Oh, that's bad. That would be bad for Kenny and Bo. No more show. So all this stuff continues to be negotiated in the newspapers with very jackass, like it always has been. Isn't that where it always takes place?
So far.
Sun Sentinel, of course, the Scum Sentinel, they got no big fat Jim Sarney over there anymore, the big buffo toad, so as a result, they're out of the loop. We did a nice even 1,500 votes on the poll yesterday. We're going to have a low number today because it's Friday. It's the first of El Uno de Junio. And as a result, a lot of people are already bailed out for the weekend and for holidays and stuff, kids out of school, all of this stuff. So that's a good excuse, isn't it?
Sure, why not?
Well, no, you understand that. We got like a little bit of a skeleton crew out there, even more so than usual. 1,500 votes on yesterday's poll, and today's poll is like, isn't this the one you hated about the TV guest show panelist?
No, the restaurants that no longer exist was the one I hated. Although this one's close.
Yeah.
So you've got the wrong answer on there.
What do you mean?
For the one option.
What are you talking about?
I missed out on the golden age of game shows. Too young, my loss. It should say, I'm not an old codger.
I thought you said you didn't hate this poll.
I don't.
Sure.
See, I am an old codger. I remember half these people. I remember half these people because I am an old codger. But the people that vote that,
I remember all of them because I'm an old codger.
I don't know any of these names, you old fart.
Too bad. You missed out. What's your favorite TV private eye or cop series from the past? That was yesterday's award-winning poll, and we got 1,500 votes. 1,300 during the show, Chris. And again, Chris gets a little pat on the back of the head. But it's not going to happen today. If you guys get to 1,000 after I leave at 12:45, it'll be a real miracle.
Well, just to make sure, we're going to shut it down as soon as you go.
Good thinking. The Rockford Files wins way 249. I don't understand why. Well, you said it was a good show, and you don't even like those kind of shows, so maybe that's why. Maybe it had like...
Right, it had charm. It was
see.
funny. He always got the crap beat out of him.
Columbo, 198. Magnum PU, 174. God only knows why, because, boy, is that a bad, bad show. Tom Selleck, hey, Tommy.
You fairy.
Moonlighting, 103. I still don't know what that is. I know what mooning is, but moonlighting?
You're very fortunate that you didn't see it. You would have hated it. It had its moments, but...
Is moonlight... Like to show like one cheek?
Sure.
Kojak 65. Boy, what a drop-off from those top four to Kojak. It'll take me about an hour and a half to go through this list, then it'll be time for me to get out of here.
There he goes again. Gladys, that's all he cares.
Miami Vice 61, Charlie's Angels 51, Streets of San Francisco 49. With Carl Malden with the big nose. Did we discover he was dead or alive yesterday? Still alive.
Alive.
Who did we find out was dead? Oh, what's his name? From
Dennis Weaver.
Dennis Weaver. Oh, jeez. NYPD Blue 48, Hill Street Blues 37, Hawaii 5-0 37. Boy, that should have done a lot better than that. The Equalizer 33, Murder She Wrote 32. Remington Steele and Banachek each had 27. Spencer for Hire 26, Mannix 25, Cannon and 77, Sunset Strip each had 23. At 77, Sunset Strip. That's how it went. Mike Hammer 22, Heart to Heart 21, Law and Odor 19, Simon and Simon 18. Barnaby Jones always gets his man, 17. For an old coot, he was okay. Bad show, though. Chips, 14. Perry Mason had only 13. Now, how's that? Didn't we leave that off for some reason?
Yeah, I don't know.
He never got a fair shake. Perry. And who was it that played in that show? Della Street. Her son was the All-American hero, William Catt. Haven't we discussed that a million times?
Yes.
The actress who played Della Street on Perry Mason, her son was William Catt.
Right.
He was a cool cat. Perry Mason, 13. MacGyver, 13. Homicide, Life on the Street, 12. Knight Rider, or is that Knight Ritter, 12. Adam, 12, had 10. 21 Jump Street and Vegas each had 7. In the Heat of the Night, 5. Harry O. Had 5. Mod Squad, 4. Beretta, 4. Matt Houston, 3. McLeod, 2. That was Dennis Weaver. He's still dead. The Rookies had 2. How could the Rookies only have 2? That was a neat show.
Old.
What?
Old.
What do you mean old? So are a lot of these old. Are you
Right.
kidding me? Matt Houston, that was Dean Martin. He's been dead for 80 years, for Christ's sakes. Nero Wolfe had 1. Nero Wolfe had 1, and you can bet your bottom dime that was that schmuck, that Schmendrick, that sent the fax in. That was very indignant that it wasn't on there, because William Conrad, who Neil liked so much, played Nero Wolfe. It was a bad show. It was a good book, good series of books by Rex Stout, but terrible show. And Surfside 6 had Soltanto Uno out of 1,500. Today's poll, we'll get into that. Now, that's going to take like 3 hours to read.
Fatwa Friday, you bastards.
Gas is high, that is why I can't afford it. Car to sit, it's the pits, walking full summertime, and I know the price ain't going down. Hate it. Call my friends, it's the same story from them. They can't drive 'cause the car's on empty. So I found the lost art of hitchhiking. It's crazy. I don't want to hear some lame excuses. Why the price of gas is so damn high. If I want to go somewhere, now I'm gonna have to try to hitch a ride. Big oil corporations, you got to love them. Hope they enjoy all of their money. It's just me and my thumb tonight. I don't want to hear some lame blah, blah, blah. Why the price of gas is so damn high. Sorry, I just don't buy it. Now I have to try to hitch a ride. Big oil corporations, you got to love them. Hope they enjoy all of their money. It's just me and my thumb tonight. Great.
Thank you, Mr. President, for those low gas prices. You butcher, you lunatic, you crazy person, you maniac. Nevertheless. So CNN slanting the news once again. They're showing the thing about Dr. Jack is getting out of the slammer today, Jack Kevorkian.
Right, a hero.
And they put the thing on there while they're doing the story. He helped 130 people killed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not suicide, not 130 assisted suicide, killed themselves. And then afterward, they got a thing on there that says, will he kill again?
We can only hope.
Oh, you people at CNN. What the world needs desperately is for CNN and all of its affiliates, international, whatever. CNN needs to be taken out. They need to blow up the transmitter, man. Take it off the air now. That's the only hope that the human race has got. See, because Fox News, we know, is right-wing propaganda, and MSNBC nobody watches anyway because they got a bunch of garbage on there, and CNN allegedly is the source for news, and they got Wolf Blitzkrieg on there talking his Israel propaganda, you know. But it's just amazing to me, the way they slant, and everything is slanted. But they did do at least a 5-minute segment on that dancing cadet. Did you see that? That was really nifty.
No, I did not.
Didn't see that?
No, I missed it.
Oh, yeah, he could dance in my house anytime he wanted.
I see.
Anyway, Jack Kevorkian, the retired pathologist, dubbed Dr. Death after claiming he participated in at least 130 assisted suicides. Oh, no, murders, that is. I'm sorry, according to CNN. Left prison after 8 years today, still believing people have the right to die. And amen. In fact, we ought to know that at QAM.
I'm dying over here.
Throughout the 90s, Kevorkian challenged authorities to make his actions legal or try to stop him. He burned state orders against him and showed up at court in a costume. You think I'm going to obey the law? You're crazy, he said in 1998, shortly before he was accused and then convicted of murder after injecting lethal drugs into Thomas Yauk, 52, an Oakland County man suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease. He helped put people out of their misery, and, of course, in America, where the Bible-thumping lunatics, the Terry Schiavo and her crowd, they rule, he had to go to jail. That conviction earned Kevorkian a 10 to 25-year sentence for second-degree murder, but he earned time off his sentence for good behavior. His promise to never help another person in assisted suicide, but that hasn't dimmed the attention focused on his release from prison, and CNN wants to know, will he kill again? Attorney Mayor Morgenroth has said Kevorkian wouldn't talk to the media today, though a news conference with his client was scheduled for next Tuesday. Recently, Kevorkian made it clear his support for letting people decide when they want to die hasn't wavered. It's got to be legalized. That's the point, he told WJBK-TV in Detroit. I'll work to have it legalized, but I won't break any laws doing it. He don't want to go back in. Kevorkian said he has helped at least 130 people die from 1990 to 98. Many who sought his assistance, by the way, were not terminally ill. They just wanted out. And what's wrong with that? Don't you have a right to decide when you want out?
You absolutely do, unless if you ask a Christian.
Oh, yeah, unless you ask some Farbison, a lunatic. Oh, it's a sin, it's a sin.
Yeah, because they said
Everything is a sin. The fact that they exist is a sin.
Amen.
Those Farbison, man. You're a sin. You crazy bastard. Sticking your nose into everybody else's life. It's time to pull the plug, baby. It's time to pull the plug. Christ. Okay, let's take a look at that poll for today. I'm going to be talking pretty fast, I guess, because, I'm out of here at 12:45, and I'll feel at that point like I've done 4 solid hours. I mean, 4
rock solid
hours. Only 664 votes on there. Now, that's either because everybody's bailed out, which is possible. I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's about 2.
I beg your pardon?
Thinking about 2 o'clock.
Oh, there you go. Picking right up where I left off. That's what they accuse me of. That's all he cares about is when he gets out of there and vacation. Yeah. Up yours. 670 votes on the poll. Who's your favorite game show celebrity panelist, past or present? Well, what game shows are on now that have a panel? Can you name me one?
No.
No. Well, whatever. That's Charlie B's wording. It's his poll. Thank you, Charlie. He's had that one sitting in this pile, he said, for a long time. Yeah, that's what it says here. I've had this, been holding it back. So in homage to Kitty Carlisle, he finished it, and here it is, he said. Attaboy, Charlie B. Get a life. But keep the polls coming, please. We love you. I voted for Paul Lynde, and look at that. It started a tidal wave. There's nobody even close. He was in a class by himself. The center square. I'm not going to read the shows that these people were on, because most of them were on more than one. I'll tell you what, you talk about old. You know who we don't have on here? Is Maury Amsterdam and Hans Conried and...
all right.
What the hell was that old woman? Hermione Gingold. Oh, boy, I thought I was slipping there. What? No, you don't know any of those people. That was, that was Pantomime Quiz with Mike Stuckey. And then he opened up that chain of places on the Turnpike. Or on the, interstates. Stuckey's, where they have all that stale peanut brittle. Paul Lynde, 263. Man, he's got more than double anybody else. I missed out on the golden age of game shows. Too young, my loss, 96. Now, there's nothing wrong with that choice.
They might not agree with that. See,
what?
You know how it is when you try to tell youngsters that they missed out on the good stuff. They say, get out of here, you old coot.
Youngsters. What's a youngster, you know?
A whippersnapper, a young whelp.
Somebody under 30.
Yeah.
Charles Nelson Riley, he got 61. A lot of them probably sympathy votes because he just croaked. But he was good. He was funny. He was a real silly queen. And that's what America likes, silly queens. That's why, look at that. The top 2 names on here, Paul Lynde and Charles Nelson Riley. What do they have in common?
Gay.
Uh-huh. America likes fruitcakes as long as they don't come too close. Richard Dawson, 60, and then it's way down. Those are, Sir, I said. He would have been fine if it weren't for the fact, of course, he was the host of Family Feud, but he was the guest, he was this middle guy there on Match Game for a long time. And then his ego, he got carried away with his ego, and then he got carried away after he got bounced off Family Feud, and then Ray Combs blew his brains out, and they had to bring Richard Dawson back, and by that time, he was pickled, baby. Sir, I said. You couldn't understand a damn thing he said. It was embarrassing. Is he still alive? I guess he is, huh?
As far as I know.
His memory lingers on. Nipsey Russell, 25. He was on a lot of shows. Wally Cox, 22. Marlon Brando's roommate in New York. Soupy Sales, whose real name was Gus Pacho, and Guaya Berra. He was kin to Yogi Berra. Soupy Sales, 20. George Goebel, 15. Kitty Carlisle, 13. She's dead. Orson Bean. How's it going, old Bean? 13. Betty White, 10. She was she's still alive, though. I can't say she's a dyke. She was married to Alan Ludden, who, according to people that worked for him, he was
gay.
A little flighty. But nevertheless, she was the beard. I mean, she was married to Alan Ludden. Betty White. And, of course, she was also on The Golden Girls with all those other old maids. Whoopi Goldberg, 10. Brett Summers, 9. Arlene Francis, 9. Bennett Thurf, What's My Line, 9. Jim J. Bullock, 9. Oh, my God. Wow. Spare me. Tom Poston, 8. Fanny's Flag, 6. Dorothy Kilgallen, only 5. I bet you Chicken X pretty PO'd about that. He's pretty peeved about it. Bert Convey, 4. Charlie Weaver's got 2, and that's a late edition, and I apologize. And actually, Charlie ought to apologize, because Charlie B., because he didn't have him on there. How could you not have him on there, Charlie B.? Charlie Weaver, my God. He's got 2, though, and Peggy Cass has only 1. She was fat and disgusting and obnoxious, and on a lot of game shows. So just think what you missed. Oh, there you go. There's Dr. Jack. He's been released. He's out there. He's nodding. I'm okay. I'm going to go kill some people. Attaboy, go get him, Jack. We got the first one in Naples for you to start on. That's my choice. Rhymes with
560 QAM.
Friday, you bastard.
I'd actually like to start by saying, darling, you've got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? If you say that, you are mine. I'll be here till the end of time. So you've got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? It's always easy. You're happy when I'm on my knees. One day is fine, next is bad. So if you want me off your back, well, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? If I go, there will be trouble. If I stay, it will be double. So come on and let me know.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, Tony. That's George Bush's poodle, Tony Blair. Of course. 695 votes on that poll today. What are you shooting for? Well, shoot for whatever you can get. Like Jack Kevorkian says, if you see him, shoot him. He's going to kill some people. Will he kill again? You people at CNN, you ought to be in jail. You ought to be on death row.
Yeah.
For
high crimes and
misdemeanors. Man, you talk about lies and propaganda. Here's the schedule today, by the way. When George finishes up, he's going to lead into something really prestigious. UM baseball, the Hurricanes against Louisville in the NCAA Columbia Regional.
Can't we start that game now?
Let's do it. All right. That's it, too. You're the lead-in, so you better build up a really big audience for the UM baseball game, man.
Like they do for us?
Followed by Hank Goldberg till 7 o'clock. Then we got Miami Dolphins all assets from 7 to 7:30 because it's part of the Dolphin deal. And then you got Marlins on deck at 7:30. The Marlins at the Brewers 8:05. How'd they do last night? They were like tied 3-3 in the sixth. I saw the score. I certainly didn't. They lost?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And then we got game night with Eddie K after the Marlins losing. At Milwaukee. That's bad. You can't keep losing like that, or people are going to stop coming to. Oh, they already did. Too bad. Doug Thompson's got a little rant here today. I'm the president. Really rips an ass to your president, by the way.
Oh, gee, don't read that.
Thanks again, Mr. President, for those bargain basement gas prices. I got an article on that that's going to make you really wild. You're going to vomit. By the way, your mic was open during that first spot in the last break. You were coughing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I just thought I mentioned that. It's not important. Probably
wasn't cussing, was I?
You know.
I usually am.
Was Iraq invaded to boost oil prices? The value of Exxon reserves rose by $666 billion. But we'll get to that. That'll get you very angry. I don't want to get you angry on a Friday. It's the weekend. Everybody should be happy. It's El Uno de Junio. And Doug Thompson, he's pretty pissed off, but he's always pissed off. I'm the president. He says President George W. Bush's paranoid megalomania is so rampant that close friends and supporters worry about the man's sanity and fear he's lost his tenuous grip on reality. Bush, whose arrogant stubbornness knows no bounds, is so wrapped up in his obsession with being president and commander-in-chief that his behavior shocks his most ardent supporters. Writes syndicated columnist Georgie Ann Geyer, friends of his from Texas were shocked recently to find him nearly wild-eyed, thumping himself on the chest 3 times while he repeated, "I am the president." He also made it clear he was setting Iraq up so his successor couldn't get out of our country's destiny. Arnaud de Bourgeois, the rabid Bush supporter who edits the right-wing Washington Times and runs what is left of UPI, also reports on the meeting. The self-described decider is the antithesis of self-doubt. Like an old sea dog, he relishes the idea of plowing into rough seas. When a recent visitor asked him what assurance he could give about his successor in 2009, Bush replied, "We'll fix it so he'll be locked in." The visitor left perplexed and wondered whether that might mean the U.S. would be in a wider war in the region by then. In any event, it didn't sound like twilight time for Mr. Bush. A Texan friend of long-standing called on him recently and confided to his Washington host that Mr. Bush had said 3 times, bringing a clenched fist to his chest, "I'm the president." Reminding visiting political opponents of this would be normal, but the close friend, he said, was taken aback a bit, as he had never before seen Mr. Bush in this mode, as in Pyala. What these close friends see is a madman on the edge, a delusional paranoid whose brain is fried by too many years of hard drinking and probably too much cocaine up his nose. How do you like that? Too much cocaine up his nose. The nose knows. Compared to Bush, Richard Nixon appears sane and stone-cold sober. Hell, history will probably cast legendary drunk Ulysses S. Grant as a president more in control of himself. Not only is he wrapped up in the aura of "I'm the president," but now he's determined that anyone who follows him will have to live with his legacy of lies, deceit, and despair, his failed war in Iraq, his cancer on our country's destiny. The fate of this nation, and indeed the fate of the world, may well depend on the deranged mind of a truly insane president of the U.S., eh? That's what Doug Thompson says. He is pissed off and fired up. You go, Doug, until they come and take your ass away.
Right.
Oh, it's just a matter of time. We got 700 even now in the poll. I could go down and read that whole list again, but that would be cheating, you know.
Do it.
Do it?
Twice.
Are you encouraging me to read that whole list of all those people that nobody knows who they are? I think you must be on the payroll across the street. And by the way, if you are, congratulations. You ought to be.
You know what? I might as well be. Everybody else here is.
I think so. I think you may have a point there. I think we have some internal saboteurs there. I could be wrong about that, but like I've said before, the damage, the wrecking ball that they have wreaked, that they've tossed around in that joint. I mean, if they had good intentions, you sure as hell could fool me. If their intent was to destroy and pillage and plunder and rape and butcher, well, they're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. Okay, I'll read them. 703, just real fast. Paul Lynn, 274. After that, it's no contest. I missed out on the golden age of game shows, 99. Too many young punks. Charles Nelson Riley, 65. Richard Dawson, 64. After that, it's small potatoes. That's all I need to read. The rest of them don't have hardly any. Although Peggy Cash, she's got one. She's on the bottom. Wouldn't be the first time, Peggy. Charlie Weaver's got only a small pair. He's dead. Long since dead. Cliff Arquette. And what's his daughter's name again?
He's got a couple.
Who are they?
Rosanna and Patricia.
Rosanna.
Right.
703 on the pool. You got a shot at making 1,000. It's on your shoulders now. I wash my hands of it.
Yeah, well,
I got some things to do that later on. I got to kill some people. I got to do a Dr. Jack. Then I can be on CNN. Will he kill more people?
We can only hope.
Oh man, you folks over there, people that watch that, and they sit there and they're watching, you know, with their eyes wide open and like stupefied. My suggestion to those people is read a book. Read a mother effing book is a good idea.
You know, if you have to feed that to you.
Yeah, we'll do it Monday morning. Have somebody read one to you is even a better idea. If you're that stupid, just have somebody read one to you would be a good idea. Don't you think?
That would help.
22 before 11 at 560 WQAM. Boy, I can't wait for that UM baseball game. I might have to cancel all my travel plans and just stick around just to hear the dulcet tones of...
Joe Zagacki sucks, okay?
Wow, that is really
we'll
something.
Tape it for you.
Yeah, tape me some of that play-by-play, because I don't hear enough of it on the promos, you know? That guy with the deep voice. We have radio play-by-play, and that's just another excuse to fill up some time with some more from ball games. That's all. Like the audience doesn't know. Like there's anybody out there doesn't know what play-by-play sounds like, and then of course they play stuff that isn't real play-by-play because it's you know, that's stuff. But that's okay. We're just here. We're not here for a good time, just to kill some time and take as much cash out as we can. That's I guess that's what it says on the wall. You know, just give us the effing money, right?
Right.
Junior, honey.
I just saw a big sign at the side of the road that says the price per gallon is $4. $4, oh no. I got an SUV that's as big as a whale, and I can't believe the gas is $4. I got me a Hummer, and the mileage is crummy, so pony up some more of your gasoline money.
Thank you again, Mr. President. We can't say that too much, man. 17 before 11 at 5:60. In fact, I'm going to skip this. I want to get to that article about was Iraq invaded to boost oil prices, ? Value of Exxon reserves rose by $666 billion. And isn't it ironic that the number is 666, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a little bit of irony there? Dun, 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 dun. What do you think? Saddam Hussein may have been deposed in order to limit Iraq's oil production and thus keep world oil prices artificially high. This could be the real reason behind the invasion of Iraq by the Anglo-American forces and their allies, writes Sherwood Ross on the Smirking Chimp. According to Greg Palast's new book, Armed Madhouse, when OPEC raises the price of crude, big oil makes out big time. Palast makes the point Iraq's output in the 2003-5 period following the invasion saw a decline in oil production. In fact, it dropped to below the level of the 1995 to 2003 oil for food arrangement that allowed Iraq to sell 2 million barrels a day to raise cash for humanitarian purposes. Whether by design or happenstance, this decline in Iraqi output has resulted in tripling the profits of the 5 U.S. oil majors to $89 billion for a single year, 2005, compared to pre-invasion 2002, Palast writes. He points out the oil majors are not simply passive resellers of OPEC production, but have reserves of their own which rise in tandem with oil prices. The rise in the price of oil after the first 3 years of the Iraq War boosted the value. Oh, by the way, add Bill Cullen to the poll. He was not only a game show host, but he was also a panelist on many, many shows before most of us were born. Most of you. Got it, Bill Cullen?
We got it.
What are we associating with? Anything?
To tell the truth.
Okay.
The rise in the price of oil after the first 3 years of the Iraq War boosted the value of the reserves of ExxonMobil oil alone by just over $666 billion, Palast wrote. What's more, Chevron Oil, where Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice had served as director, gained $250 billion in value. Another big winner in the Iraq War is Saudi Arabia. The war-stoked jump in oil prices, Palast writes, put $120 billion in the Saudis' treasury in 2004, triple its normal take. Among the big losers have been American motorists now paying about $3.30 for a gallon of gas. What's more, the oil spike has punished U.S. industry, costing America an estimated 1.2 million jobs. Higher borrowing costs for business since the beginning of the Iraq War are bleeding manufacturing investment, Palast adds. Rising oil prices are an anomaly. The world's petroleum reserves have doubled from 648 billion to 1.2 trillion barrels in the past 25 years, Palast says. According to free market laws of supply and demand, discovery of these immense new pools should cause prices to drop. Big oil's interest is in suppressing production, Palast writes, stating an international industry policy of suppressing Iraqi oil production has been in place since 1927. Iraq has 74 known oil fields, but only 15 are in production, and 526 known pools of oil, which only 125 have been drilled. In 2005, Iraq exported only 1.4 million barrels of oil daily, less than under Hussein, less than half its old OPEC quota, and less than a fourth of its ultimate capacity. Though technically owned by the Iraqis through their state oil company, we can expect the Iraqi crude to be gathered and controlled downstream by the same old hands, British Petroleum, Chevron, and other IOCs, international oil companies that first drew the nation's borders, politely fulfilling Iraq's quota assigned by the Saudis. No more, maybe less, Palast writes. In addition to clamping a lid on Iraqi production, he charges the U.S. promoted sabotage of oil piping, loading and refining systems in Venezuela to limit that country's production. Palast reminds that Venezuela, once the top exporter to the U.S., broke the back of the 73 Arab oil embargo by replacing the oil withdrawn by Saudi Arabia. Hugo Chavez, despised by Bush, was not likely to save Bush's bacon by busting another embargo. Therefore, Chavez had to go immediately. Palast said that OPEC is a front for the IOCs. If oil companies had created this cartel to fix prices, that would have made it a criminal conspiracy. Cartels are illegal. But when governments conspire for the same purpose, the illegal conspiracy turns into a legitimate alliance of sovereign states. OPEC's government cover makes the price-fixing perfectly legal, and big oil reaps the rewards. What's more, Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations take Americans' money at the pump and in their heating and electric bills and use it to buy up U.S. government notes. In 2005, Palast says, $243 billion in petrodollars was collected from Americans by OPEC. Foreigners then bought up $311 billion in U.S. government debts. All the goodies, from nuclear subs to tax cuts to war in Mesopotamia, appear to be free to the taxpayer, Palast writes. It's all just put on the tab, the national debt, including the interest on it. The actual cash needed to pay for these budget busters is first collected from U.S. consumers via the hidden oil tax for which Mr. Bush takes no blame. That's enough to make your blood boil, isn't it? Enough to really piss you off and fire you up. Yeah, like that. Not that, not that anybody cares. Why should we care about things like that when we got important stuff going on? Like, is Dr. Jack going to kill some more people? I say right now, get CNN off the air. Blow up their towers, their transmitters, knock them off the air. We don't want to hurt anybody, although there's some people there might not be a bad idea. I don't want to mention any names, Wolf. What?
Maybe they can just be lightly wounded.
Yeah, lightly wounded. 7:32 on the pool. What are you going to shoot for 1,000, you guys? I say you guys because it's in your hands. I'm leaving in less than 2 hours. I'm out of here. I'll be long gone, down the road with a heavy load. And a buffo toad. Speaking of buffo toads, Al Gore is against any attempt to impeach Bush. Remember that embarrassing performance by him that we saw in Fahrenheit 9/11 when he was,
yes.
vice president presiding over the Senate?
Yes. Tragic.
And all these poor bastards got up there and desperately trying to oppose the certification of the fixed 2000 presidential election, and he stood there and banging that gavel, just as big and fat as ever. Former Vice President Al Gore, a staunch critic of George W. Bush, has said he doesn't agree with calls for impeaching the president due to lack of time and consensus. And you just know the way he would say consensus, the way he has that, silly sound. He's a silly-sounding guy. Many Democrats feel that Bush should be impeached for allegedly misleading the country deliberately in the lead-up to the war in Iraq. Oh, no kidding. Like, this is rocket science, okay? Oh, let's sit down and figure that out. With a year and a half to go in his term and no consensus in the country as a whole to support such a proposition, any realistic analysis of that as a policy option would lead to one question: the allocation of time and resources, Gore said during an interview with PBS. Pressed on whether he believed that impeachment is a good use of time, Gore replied, "I don't think it is. I don't think it would be successful." On being asked whether he threw the towel in too soon in the 2000 presidential elections where he narrowly lost to Bush allegedly, Gore said he had taken the fight as far as he could and the only other option left was a violent revolution. All right, now that's the Al Gore we want to hear. He's fat enough to lead it. And he can get Dr. Jack to team up with him there and they go out and kill some people. I took it all the way to the final Supreme Court decision, and in our system there is no intermediate step between a final Supreme Court decision and a violent revolution, said Al. So at that point, having taken it as far as one could, then the question becomes, are we going to be a nation of laws and not people, he replied. Do I support the rule of law even though I disagree with the Supreme Court decision? I did disagree with it, and I think that those of us who disagree with it will have the better of the argument in history, he added. Yeah, if we're still here to have any history left, you fat, silly person you. I'm going to tell you something. I don't want to, sound paranoid or anything like that, but I just have the feeling that some people made an offer they can't refuse. I could be wrong.
Some people?
A lot of people.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody makes them an offer they can't refuse, and all of a sudden they say, well, maybe that's not such a good idea, and yada, 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 bada-beep, bada-boop, bada-bop, and they say things that sound absolutely idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here it is.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
There you go. Nobody says it like him. What your favorite game show celebrity, panelist, pastor, president? We get Bill Cullen on here. He doesn't have any votes. 742. I think you're going to make 1,000 today, and then you can really, all weekend long, you can just bounce around like that dancing guy they showed on CNN, the dancing cadet. 742. Here's just the top 4. The others are all, and then the second choice isn't even a show. It's, they don't know. Paul Lynde, Hollywood Squares, 286. Killing the competition, man. They're all way behind his behind, and I don't blame them. I missed out on the golden age of game shows. Too young, my loss, 105. And George is not too happy with that choice. What did you say it should have been? I'm not an old fart?
I'm not an old fart, so who gives a flying crap?
Are you trying to say they don't care about this poll today, or are you trying to say you don't care about it?
No, I think it's fine. It's just some people might not.
Well, you know what? Your mama. How do you like that?
Yeah, my mama
Read a book, read a mother-scratching book. That's my suggestion to those people. If you don't like the poll, just go off in a corner, get a nice book. Get some Shakespearean piece of garbage and sit there in a corner and read it, pretend you understand what they're talking about. Missed out on the golden age, 105. Richard Dawson, 71. And Charles Nelson Riley, who just croaked the other day, 66. And again, he deserves it. He deserves to be in the top bunch. He probably saw a bunch or two in his time. Leonard Doyle writes in the Independent UK, do I have time for this?
Yes.
You don't even have any idea. This could be 15 pages for all you know. How the hell do you know? Yes.
Well, because the break.
You just want me to do it. That's all. You're just
right.
an agent provocateur.
That's right.
And you're right. I do have time. Goldman Sachs marches on with Bush's candidate for the World Bank. In Goldman Sachs We Trust was the title of one of the chapters of John Kenneth Galbraith's The Great Crash, his account of the crooked dealings that triggered the great stock market bust of the 1920s. President George Bush will not have had that unflattering chapter in the Wall Street Bank's history in mind as he nominated Robert Zoellick to head the World Bank Wednesday. Mr. Zolik, 53, is a senior executive of Goldman Sachs, who until recently was the Deputy U.S. Secretary of State. Before that, he was the U.S. Trade Representative, where he dealt abrasively with globalization nihilists as he described opponents of American trade policy toward the developing world. World reaction to his nomination was broadly positive, but France's Foreign Minister Bernard Kouchner, as in Kouchner and Tuchus, said Mr. Zolik must move swiftly to restore confidence in the World Bank's role in rolling back poverty. Kouchner my ass. Oh, I'm sorry.
How do you do that?
If you're double-jointed. Between the partners in the World Bank, it's mainly a question of confidence. President Bush's nomination of another Goldman Sachs senior executive is unsurprising, given that the bank enjoys virtual revolving door access to the White House. Last year, the Wall Street Bank raised eyebrows when it handed its employees a $500 million bonus, or $623,000 for each one. The chief executive was given an extra $52 million spending money. I'd like to have $52 million spending money, wouldn't you?
Sure, some bumming around money.
At the World Bank, he'll have to quickly apply balm to the raw wounds caused by the forced removal of Mr. Bush's neocon ally, Paul Wolfowitz. Those wounds were still in evidence as Bush went out of his way to thank Mr. Wolfowitz, while he lavished praise on Mr. Zolik's record as a diplomat and trade negotiator. Wolfowitz left under a cloud after pressing for a large compensation deal for his girlfriend, who also worked at the bank. But for all the honeyed words about Mr. Zolik's role in reuniting the two Germanys and bringing China into the WTO, it's his hard-nosed reputation as a free trade zealot that precedes him at the World Bank. While calling for a level playing field and demanding open markets for American goods in the developing world, the U.S. still subsidizes agriculture to the tune of $8 billion a year. Development economists say that the combination of subsidies on U.S. cotton, corn, and wheat in particular devastate the economies of African countries. The bank's 24-member board, which is dominated by European donors, must now approve the appointment. In a statement, the board said that it was essential that the next president, among other things, have political objectivity and independence. The bank's new chief needs to quickly persuade countries to contribute nearly $30 billion to fund a high-profile program of providing interest-free loans to the world's poorest countries. The test of Zolik is whether he manages to turn around the bank, which has been in huge disarray, said Elizabeth Stewart, senior policy advisor for Oxfam International. And as far as people's favorite bank, Goldman Sachs, Robert Zolik, the World Bank nominee, is formerly a deputy to Condoleezza Rice. He was a key diplomat in Washington China policies before joining Goldman Sachs as managing director and vice chairman for international strategy. John Bolton, the White House chief of staff, is also a former Goldman Sachs executive. Robert Rubin, former U.S. Treasury Secretary, former partner with Goldman Sachs. John Corzine, governor of New Jersey, was co-head of Goldman Sachs with Mr. Paulson until he left due to a power struggle. And Henry Paulson, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, was formerly Goldman Sachs chief executive. As a China expert for Goldman Sachs, he helped to maneuver the investment bank into pole position in China as the country joined the WTO. And on it goes. Just pawns on a big-ass chessboard, baby, so enjoy life, have a good time, and screw your brains up.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
Thank you for calling the Gas Price Hotline, your source for up-to-the-second gasoline prices. Are you sitting down? At the tone, the price per gallon will be $3.19. That price has been updated. At the tone, the price will be $3.20. Update. The price is now $3.30. Not again. The price is now $3 and... Fine. It's now $4. Forget it. I'm now selling my SUV for $20,500. 19,007, 18,5, 17 even. It's got leather and a DVD. Forget it. Here are the keys. Take it. Oh, by the way, the tank's on E.
The joke's on you. 764 votes on the poll. How are you making out with your new car acquisition, by the way? Don't be a yenta, but I'm just asking.
No, I'm going to wait for it to be paid off, and they send you the title in the mail, and I'm going to talk to somebody, I don't want to say who, over here in our department to hook us up properly.
Somebody in our sales department you're going to talk to? Are you a crazy person or what?
Yes, I am a crazy person, but that's...
evidently.
That's
you're going to make a deal with somebody in our sales department, then you're going to expect me to pay for it?
I'm not going to make a deal with them.
Wow.
I'm going to have them hook us up with one of our fine sponsors.
I see. Okay. I'm sure they'll take good care of you.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Chuck in West Palm Beach, who's obviously an agent provocateur, wherever Chuck is. I don't know where he is. Well, he's in Boca, maybe. 561 Boca. He says, yesterday I noticed a billboard in West Palm Beach for someone named Mancow. And by the way, Mancow's got a point. He doesn't show it all, with the billboards and everything else. I just thought I'd mention that. In view of the fact that you bring millions of revenue into your station, please let us know where we can see your billboards. Ha, 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 ha! I think a great billboard for your show would be Fart Free Radio, or how about our listeners have passports? I have no idea what that last part means. You know that last part?
Our listeners need passports.
But what does that mean, our listeners have passports?
I don't know.
Una pasaporta. I have no idea what that means, Chuck. And, just keep rubbing the salt in the wounds, rubbing the salt. Man, Kyle's got billboards, but he has no listeners. See, that's the only problem, Chuck. We know we don't have any promotion. We know that these people they toss all the money down the toilet on the sports franchises, on those rights fees, and then they wail, oh, gee, they're wailing and whining. We're losing all those millions on the Marlins. Well, who told you to sign up the freaking Marlins, okay? Did you have to be a genius not to see that nobody cares? Good golly, Miss Molly. But it's sports, like you always say. It's a ball game. There are guys wearing jock straps and throwing, a lot of leather around. That's what I think these people are into is leather.
Mm-hmm. Slapping it.
Slapping that leather, baby. They're slapping it and the leather, too. 772, I think you got a real honest-to-God shot at 1,000 on the day on El Uno de Junio. Is this from you or is this another ad? Oh, yeah, it's from Sherwood in Miami, who says, thanks so much for reading my column. How do you like that?
Uh-huh.
This is shocking. Thank you, Sherwood. That was a good column. Thank you so much for reading my column on the Iraq War and oil prices on your show this morning. If you send me your email address, I'll send you all columns at the same time they go out to Op-Ed News, Smirking Chimp, and my other media contacts, so you'll have them first. Do that, please, George.
What?
Send him my email address.
Sure will.
How are you going to do that? Does he give you his email address?
Oh, I thought he did.
No.
Well, then. Sherwood.
Yeah, come on, Sherwood, get with it. Send us your email address so I can send you mine. Show me yours, I'll show you mine. It says, keep up the good work. By the way, I have the cover story in the July-August Humanist magazine to be published shortly titled, America the Beautiful Breaks Out in Germ Warfare Rash. Some of the research going forward under the Bush administration, which has spent an astounding $44 billion on biological warfare research since 9/11, is being done at more than 100 universities, including the University of Miami, my alma mater. Oh, poor Sherwood, that's his alma mater, UM. But it was a great column, and I appreciate it. And, George, send us your email address, and then George will send you ours.
He put his phone number here. I'll call him.
There you go. Call him up. And
which one do you want me to give him, your Yahoo?
Well, whatever you want. What do I care? Why do you take something so simple? I've only got 85 different email addresses.
I know. Which one do you want me to use?
Make a federal case out of it.
All right, I'll give him the one you don't have. How's that?
And he'll send us all the columns at the same time, so we have them immediately, if not sooner. It was a great column. That's why I pushed it up in my pile there, because because people are foaming at the mouth about getting raped. It's all about oil, baby. That's what it's about. I told you that way back at the beginning. M-O-N-E, wine, O-I-L. I was the one voice here sitting screaming and yelling and hollering and bitching and moaning. And what did we get a phone call from some 10-year-old punk on the phone? Thank you, Mr. President, for the low gas prices. Assuming, of course, that we're going to stick the big up to the oil wells there in Iraq and the price of oil is going to come way, way down, like a quarter a gallon. Right. Just pathetic. What's this guy on there screaming in P Island, North Carolina? If you were on P Island, you'd be pretty screaming, too, I guess. He looks like a screamer. That's CNN for you, man. Bomb their towers, knock them off the air, man. They don't give any news. All they give is propaganda. They're just like Joseph Goebbels and the whole propaganda machine in Nazi Germany. And that's what CNN is like. And, of course, Fox, they make them look like liberals. That's the way it goes. As long as Wolf Blitzkrieg is on there doing the work of, the Israelis. He's like an Israeli spy, and he comes on there with that beard and everything and talking in that real pedantic style. Oh, Jesus, God. And then we got the big debates coming up starting Sunday, don't we?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to be sure and miss that. I don't think I'll be able to watch that. I think I'll be in flight. Oh, no, do you think I ought to tape it? No.
No.
I'll let you tell me about it.
I will.
Conservative religious figures are mentioned in the new major U.S. news media. Let me try that again, because I put an extra word in there, and that screws it up. Conservative religious figures are mentioned in the major U.S. news media as many as 2.8 times as often as progressive religious figures, says a new study released in Washington this week. And I noticed that they're peeing all over Billy Graham on there. Was it Larry King had... oh, my God. Jesus, God almighty. Just tinkling all over Billy Graham. Oh, I feel like I'm attending my own funeral. Oh, only we wish. All this crap with these Getchkis, these exploiters of human stupidity and desperation, man. Just raking in the tax-free dough. Billy Graham, my ass. The report, Left Behind, the skewed representation of religion in major news media, analyzed the number of times conservative and progressive religious leaders were quoted, mentioned, and interviewed in newspaper and TV media outlets. It's a Goyish Welt, baby. That's the problem, man. Too many Goyim. Conservative religious leaders were found to be interviewed on average 2.8 times more often than progressives, 3.8 times more on TV news networks, and 2.7 times as often in the major newspapers. And, of course, nobody reads the newspaper anymore anyhow. The overwhelming presence in the news media of conservative religious voices leads to the false implication that to be religious is to be conservative, and worse, that to be progressive is to lack faith or even to be against faith, said Rabbi David Saperstein, Director of Religious Action Center for Reform Judaism. People of faith have long been and will continue to be active leaders on progressive causes for justice. Our faith compels it, he says. The spirit of Abraham compels it. The spirit of Moses compels it. And don't give me that Yoshki stuff.
All right, I won't.
The report released by Media Matters for America, a press watchdog group, challenges the presentation of religion in the major media as a politically divisive force. How about getting that fax just now from the guy at Sherwood?
Mm-hmm. Sherwood Schwartz.
Right. Sherwood Schmendrick. That's great. It's really a feather in my cap. It goes to show there actually is somebody listening out there. How do you like that? And maybe paying attention to what all these people are trying to tell you, for Christ's sakes. The major media presents the U.S. religious spectrum as divided between cultural conservatives who ground their political values in religious beliefs and secular liberals who simply don't participate in the debate. It's important to note that the main study purposely did not take into account religious leaders whose celebrity and influence make them political figures and newsmakers in their own right. These leaders include James Dobson, Jerry Falwell, rest in pieces, Jesse Jackson, Pat Robertson, and Al Sharpton, the unctuous Al Sharpton. The study was carried out in response to the media's coverage of the 2004 election, in which values voters, ostensibly those who oppose abortion and same-sex marriage, were said to have largely impacted the outcome of the presidential election process. It covers the period following Election Day, November 2, 2004, through the end of last year. Media Matters argues that this assessment is inaccurate, and the media's portrayal of values voters is misleading in that it suggests that centrist or progressive voters don't care about values in the national political arena. Recent polls have confirmed that the prevalent moral issues are those which are of greatest concern to moderate and progressive voters. A 2006 Zogby International Exit poll found that the moral issue cited most by voters was the war in Iraq, and all those innocent people being used as human sacrifice, dead and maimed and etc. More than twice as many voters said greed and materialism or poverty and economic justice were the most urgent moral crisis in American culture, compared to the number who cited abortion and same-sex marriage. 90% of U.S. citizens identified themselves as religious, according to a report by the Center for American Values in Public Life, but only 32% identified themselves as conservative. Farbissen. The disparity between the media's portrayal of right-wing religious citizens and the reality of moderate and progressive religious citizens, pointed out by a number of religious leaders present at the release of the Media Matters report, is due to both the media's biases and the way the moderate and progressive religious communities present themselves to the media. The religious right is known for short answers that fit in a soundbite, while most of the moderate or progressive religious community's answers are 10, 15, or 20-minute sermons, said Reverend Bob Edgar, General Secretary of the National Council of Churches of Christ, at the release of the report. Christianity may be monotheistic, but it's not monolithic, he be saying. The religious progressives and moderates' tendency to see the gray areas, or is that the gay areas, of a problem and the nuances of ethical and moral questions is one of the movement's greatest strengths, as well as one of the reasons it doesn't receive as much media play, said several of the religious leaders at the report's release. This report clearly indicates what we've always suspected, that the media prefers to see the world through a simple lens, a casualty of which is that the right and conservative voice can often take control of the conversation, said Reverend Dr. Jim Forbes, host of the Air America program, The Time Is Now. So what do we do now? Those of us who call ourselves progressives need to speak out and be heard, he said. And bomb CNN, knock their towers off the air. Knock them off the air now, before it's too late, before the horse is out of the barn and down the road 100 yards. By the way, when the hell is that Belmont coming up?
The what?
Is that next Saturday? Is that a week from tomorrow? I would think so. Well, maybe I'll Google it. You certainly won't, because you just don't care about...
I don't care about that.
You don't care about important things like horse racing, and yet when I'm not here, if Dave Johnson calls in, you pretend that you know something.
That's right.
Just like I pretend to know something about it, or I care.
To kill some time, I'll take my way through it.
That man, I wouldn't wish that race on Heinrich Himmler, on Himmler's Heine. That's how bad it was. 789 on the poll. Will be over 800 in no time at all, and I think Chris will lead you. He'll take you by the hand and lead you to the 1,000 plateau. He'll lead you down the garden path.
Exclusive.
Maybe you'll find that horse.
Hold it.
If you're a DJ who's also Caucasian, don't even mention the blacks or the Asians. Athletic women with short curly hair. These are the things you can't say on the air. Homeless men talking about things quite disgusting. The FCC through your door will be busting. Bodily functions, don't even go there. These are the things you can't say on the air. When Al Sharpton comes to protest, trouble's on the way. what you said and update your resume.
Update your resume, baby. It's 11:17. I can't tell you where to up it, but you got a pretty good idea.
Rectum.
798. And, during this, during this next couple of minutes, we'll be over 800, and then Chris will say, oh, yeah, we're going to do something. Yeah, you'll do something, all right. New York Times editorial today. Boy, I better read fast. I only got an hour and 23 minutes, probably less than that. I got my shirt on already.
Good.
Not my pantaloonies, though. I think I'll just leave with a shirt on, no pants.
Why not?
Well, it's warm, you know. Editorial in the New York Times today, playing to the crowd, talk about warming. Yeah, your president all of a sudden discovered something called global warming. Wow. President Bush has been feeling the heat on global warming, says the Times. He's been feeling it from Congress, from state governors, from the business community, and most recently and powerfully from America's closest foreign allies, who are fed up with his passivity on the issue and desperate for him to show some real leadership. So yesterday, Mr. Bush stepped up before the microphones in Washington to announce that he would help convene a series of meetings beginning this fall of the world's 15 biggest emitters of greenhouse gases. The U.S. is number one, by the way. We're number one, to develop a long-term global strategy for dealing with climate change. He offered no details beyond the general hope that the nations involved would voluntarily establish midterm national targets and would increase their investments in new and cleaner technologies. Given Mr. Bush's history of denial and obstructionism when it comes to climate change, there are good reasons to be cynical about this sudden enthusiasm, coming as it does on the eve of the meeting of the Group of 8 industrialized nations. Most of these nations, and in particular the meeting's host, Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany, were deeply offended by the administration's rude rejection of Mrs. Merkel's proposal for deep, mandatory cuts in emissions by mid-century. Cuts of up to 80% by 2050 have been recommended by many of the world's top scientists as necessary to avert the worst consequences of climate change. Mr. Bush gave no indication that he's any more sympathetic to Mrs. Merkel's ideas than he was a week ago. Indeed, his spokesman made clear that he remains as hostile as ever to most of the mechanisms associated with the 97 Kyoto Accord, which included a firm if modest cap on emissions. Many European leaders are still bristling over Condoleezza Rice's 2001 declaration that the treaty was dead on arrival. As rhetoric, some of what Mr. Bush had to say was different and heartening. He acknowledged the need for real reductions in greenhouse gases, as opposed to his earlier strategy of allowing increases in emissions as long as they didn't exceed the rate of economic growth. He said he found the scientific evidence of a link between climate change and human activity to be increasingly persuasive. He agreed that big developing nations like China and India absolutely had to be part of the solution. Yet he remains convinced that technology holds most of the answers and that the regulatory restraints that many experts regard as a necessary condition of technological process are largely unnecessary. He says further that his goal is to produce a common strategy in 18 months. That would coincide, roughly speaking, with his departure from public life, suggesting his real goal is to leave the heavy lifting to his successor. That's the editorial in today's New York Times. Stick it to him, boys. Murderer, butcher, lunatic, depraved. Doug Thompson's got his thumb right on it, baby. It's a crazy person. And CNN is there. Well, the president said they're dealing with him like he's a sane, rational person. 802 on your poll there, Chris. I'm going to read the result right now, just to show you a thing or two. 802, what's your favorite game show celebrity or panelist, past or present? You're right, it's not. It's a crappy poll. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's not great. It's not going to be like an award winner where people all in the water cooler are going to be saying, oh, my God, did you vote on Neil's poll today? Oh, like that, you know. Did you hear that bit? By the way, that one I just played again for the second time, that should be played like every 15 minutes. But this one,
ain't no fart sounds anymore.
That should be played like every 5 minutes. In between, read a mother scratching book. Which I think you're going to have to get that cranked up.
I think I will.
Not right this second.
No.
In fact, after I read the poll result would be good.
Quarter to one would be good.
There's an important fax that you just sent me coming in. Did you see
it? It is important. Maybe the most important one of all time.
Oh, yeah. What happened to Charro from Hollywood Squares? At least you could stare at her boobs, says WB. Coochie. Coochie. Yeah. So let's get Charro on there. What do you say? C-H-A-R-O, by the way. Charro. Well, if it's only with one R, how come you would,
Because it sounds better that way.
Charro, it sounds more authentic.
Sure, well, it just sounds more fun.
Charro.
With Hollywood Squares, right?
Hollywood Square, well, you have to ask, what is wrong with you, man? Are you like some kind of a punk? God.
Sorry, wasn't there wrong?
I know. I'm just an old, doddering fool. I know. Believe you me, I know. Here's the poll result. Who's your favorite game show panelist? Paul Lind, 311. Nobody even touches Paul. And then again, who would want to? I missed out on the golden age of game shows. Too young, my loss, 119. 14.7%. Well, at least they're honest. You know, they're young whippersnappers. They're under 100. Richard Dawson, 80 votes. Charles Nelson Riley, 67. He's dead. Nipsey Russell, 33. Is he dead?
I don't know.
I think it seems to me
that he died. Didn't we talk about that?
I think so. I believe so. Although maybe we said he should have died. You better look it up. Google it. Nipsey Russell. I don't think he'll have too many Nipseys in there. Wally Cox, he's long since dead, 25. Nipsey Russell is dead?
He's dead.
Yeah, we talked about it. Soupy Sales, 22. His real name was Chaim Schmendrick. Chaim Yankel. George Goebel, 18. Whoopi Goldberg, 18. Orson Bean, 15. Old Bean. Kitty Carlisle, 14. She just croaked, too, here a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks. Brett Summers, 12. A lot of people would like her to croak. Probably Jack Klugman. Benny White, 11. Tom Poston, 10. Bennett Cerf, 10. How can 10 people remember Bennett Cerf on What's My Line? Jesus, talk about old. Makes me feel young now. Jim J. Bullock, oh, what a screamer, had 10. Arlene Francis, 9. Fanny's Flag's Fanny, 9. Charlie Weaver, 5. Cliff Arquette, long since dead. Dorothy Kilgallen, 5. She died in a very mysterious car crash right about the time she was going to interview Jack Ruby, and he was going to spill all the beans. And then she's dead. Dorothy Kilgallen. Bert Convy, 4. I hated Bert Convy. He died from brain hemorrhage or something like that. He's dead. Bill Cullen, 1. Long since dead. Peggy Cass, 1. And Charro just went on her. She don't have any yet. Well, she's got a pair. But she don't have any votes. Charro. Oh, she got, what just happened? She got 1 right away. As soon as I said that, just to make me look bad. 814 vote. Just to make me look like I'm out of touch, which I am, and I'm pleased to say that. Marie Coco in TruthDig.com writes, Gora and Sheehan join forces. Boy, I sure got a big pile of stuff here today, and you want to know why? Because I have got to get out of here. So I got to make the most of my time to save the world, don't I? To save the universe from itself, to save mankind. Isn't that what that's what we're here for? You know, I was just thinking when that guy with a deep voice, you know, who's trying so hard to sound like John Facenda. I was listening to that, and I'm thinking to myself, back in the IOD days, it was the same thing. And that wasn't even a sports station. We had sports talk on, but it was only an hour a night. But you remember how we used to bellyache about the fact that 90% of the promotion went into the Dolphins and the Canes, and the Canes and the Dolphins. Remember that?
Of course.
Because it's ball games, baby. That's the important stuff. And they were probably losing money on it, too, you know?
You know they were.
Well, there you go. Just like these people. Did the Canes get any numbers on the station?
No.
Of course not. Even UM football. And God forbid if they have a crappy season, which I don't want to repeat, but, you know. Oh, it's frustrating. That's all it is. Not that we're bellyaching about it. We'll continue taking the money. I'll take the big bucks, and George will continue taking, leftovers. And Chris will take whatever change we drop in the sofa. Marie Coco says they're an unlikely couple. She, an exhausted and emotionally spent woman, limping home to find solace in a measure of solitude she could have given herself long ago. He, an upbeat and oh-so-confident man who once was down but now is anything but out. Anti-war activist Cindy Sheehan has announced her retirement as an icon of the movement against the Iraq War, a conflict that took the life of her son Casey and catapulted Sheehan into a chaotic and often cruel journey through the ugly precincts of political activism in the age of Bush. Al Gore has launched another book, The Assault on Reason. In it, he indulges his penchant for intellectualism alongside his utter horror at the degradation of politics and the destructive policies he lays at the White House door. These have their roots, Gore argues, in the deceits and manipulations President Bush and his administration practiced artfully and dangerously for too long and with too little consequence. Besides their opposition to the Iraq misadventure, the two have little in common other than having borne the contempt of a media culture that finds them easy targets for ridicule. Now they return the sentiment. The media turned its gaze on Sheehan when she launched vigils along the dusty road leading to Bush's vacation ranch in Crawford, Texas. For a time back in the August 2005, she was a serendipitous gift to reporters during the slow news days of summer. You couldn't conjure up a better story than that of a grieving mother braving heat and all manner of other indignities to confront the president whose war had taken her son's life. The Camp Casey drama was one of the first public manifestations of what hadn't fully emerged yet as a deepening of public dissatisfaction over Iraq. Sheehan was an overnight celebrity. So the right-wing course immediately smeared her. Sheehan was part of a psychological warfare campaign against her own country in a time of war, said conservative pundit David Horowitz. She was the poster child for surrender, said columnist Frank Gaffney. Fox News talker extraordinaire Bill O'Reilly claimed that some, we don't know which military families, felt Sheehan's conduct borders on treasonous. Nearly 2 years later, and after a descent into the clutch of radical politics, Sheehan's resignation letter lashes out equally at left-wing commentators, who she says heaped the same abuse upon her once she held the Democratic Party to account for its role in sustaining the war. Sheehan's letter is a rambling account of her journey to disillusion. But amid the pain is a truth that has no ideology. Casey died for a country which cares more about who'll be the next American Idol than how many people will be killed in the next few months. It's a complaint I've heard from returning Iraq veterans who are astonished at the trivial infotainment that passes for news at home. It's echoed by Gore, who laments in his book that it's simply no longer possible to ignore the strangeness of our public discourse. Starting with the O.J. Simpson trial, Gore recites the serial obsessions that dominate coverage and so help define what the public thinks is important. You know their names: John Bonet and the Runaway Bride, Natalie Holloway and Michael Jackson, and of course, Gore writes, we can't forget Britney and K-Fed and Lindsay and Paris and Nicole. While these noisy psychodramas get saturation coverage, Gore says, our nation was in the process of more quietly making what future historians will certainly describe as a series of catastrophically mistaken decisions on war and peace, climate change, and other issues. Gore the Scold is a familiar character in his own political saga, the same fellow who was ridiculed for sighing audibly during a 2000 presidential campaign debate, but like Sheehan, he speaks the truth. The country didn't make so many bad decisions about Iraq, global warming, torture, or the indefinite detention of alleged terrorists in the absence of information about these policies and their historic consequences. It ignored what information was available. For this absence of reason, Gore offers no antidote, nor does anybody. He suggests that more political discourse be conducted over the Internet, which happens to be where some of the vilest commentary and wildest conspiracy theories circulate. Eventually, these peculiar dark ages will end. We can only hope historians see them as an aberration, not an early marker of decline.
The Bible, the book translated into more languages than any other, has gone celebutante. Introducing the Paris Hilton Bible.
John 3:16. And God so loved the world that he gave his only son, a Lamborghini Diablo, on his 16th birthday. That's hot.
The Paris Hilton Bible, the Old Testament.
My favorite commandment, honor thy mother and thy father. Well, yeah, they give you money. What? You didn't expect it to be the adultery one.
The New Testament.
Revelation 13, the Antichrist. Ugh, that's Lindsay Lohan.
The Bible presented as never before.
Why aren't there any pictures?
The Paris Hilton Bible. Pick up a copy today.
Paul's letter to the Corinthians? Why did he send a letter? Oh, he must have lost his BlackBerry, too.
Oh, man. Woo! 27. Now, wasn't that good timing right after that piece of crap, that great article I just read? 8:33 on the poll. You got it made in the shade. You're going to get to it. You're going to slide right in there. No problem. I'm pleased at that because we had a really slow start. Maybe because they hate the poll. Although we're getting suggestions now, which I was afraid of. I'm not too happy about that. Bobby Van and Elaine Joyce. They were on Tattletales and Match Game. But you know what? Neither one of them will get any votes. So I say no. But also good. On here, what?
I say good.
On the same poll, though, it says J.P. Morgan on the Gong Show. And also I myself remembered Rip Taylor, speaking of panelists. So we ought to put those two on there. In fact, both of them were. J.P. Morgan was a notorious bull dyke, and Rip Taylor, who was a notorious lady. You got him?
We got him.
Gong Show?
Morgan to Gong, okay.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking Chris, because he's the one that's got to put it on there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's J.P. Morgan and Rip Taylor from the Gong Show.
Right. See, that's why I had to ask 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because he's a little... This is out of his league, man. This is way, way out of his territory. I don't know what his territory is, but we'll find out. Oh, speaking of Cindy Sheehan, John Nichols has a good column, Cindy Sheehan's Farewell. It's really sad, she's one of the... This is the message that you get in America today. Somebody really makes an effort, really tries hard, really invests all their energies to try to do the right thing, and, they get ridiculed and peed on, and that's the end of that.
That's right.
Cindy Sheehan, John Nichols writes, never set out to be the face of the anti-war movement. She was a mom thrust by an ugly circumstance and a lovely faith to the forefront of a movement that was struggling to find its voice. She gave it that voice as an honest player who spoke her mind, sometimes intemperately, often imperfectly, always sincerely, and backed up her words with actions. Her unscripted activism allowed her to succeed where others had failed in touching hearts and calling the disengaged, the disenchanted, and the downright angry to believe once more in the prospect that citizens can make real the promise of American experiment. So it was that when she had announced that she was resigning from a role that she never sought, the loss was palpable. Yes, the anti-war movement took her for granted. She was expected to show up, draw a crowd, willingly accept the outrageous attacks of critics, risk arrest, and get up the next morning and do it again. It was only when she explained in a poignant letter that she would no longer be the Sisyphus of a troubled movement. Who the hell is that?
Okay, I don't know.
And I'm afraid to even pronounce it. Well,
Spell
whoever. Sisyphus. Of a troubled movement that anyone bothered to think of what an essential player she had become. Sisyphus? Sisyphus. At any rate, Nobody has given more to the peace movement in recent years, emotionally, physically, spiritually, explained Tim Carpenter, National Director of Progressive Democrats of America, with Code Pink and her own Gold Star Families for Peace. PDA was the group with which Sheehan was most closely aligned. During a period of non-stop anti-war activism that began after the death of her son, Army Specialist Casey Sheehan in a Baghdad ambush. She became a national phenomenon when in August 2005 she set up camp outside George Bush's ranchette in Crawford, Texas, and demanded a talk with the president about her loss and about his responsibility to end the war before any more mothers suffered her fate. On a Memorial Day weekend that fell just hours after Congress met Bush's demand for more war funding, Sheehan reached what she described as heartbreaking conclusions. The first conclusion is that I was the darling of the so-called left as long as I limited my protest to George Bush and the Republican Party. Of course, I was slandered and libeled by the right as a tool of the Democratic Party. This label was to marginalize me and my message. How could a woman have an original thought or be working outside of our two-party system, she wrote. However, when I started to hold the Democratic Party to the same standards I held the Republicans, support for my cause started to erode, and the left started labeling me with the same slurs that the right used. I guess nobody paid attention to me when I said that the issue of peace and people dying for no reason is not a matter of right or left, but right and wrong. Sheehan wasn't whining in her resignation letter. She was despairing for a republic to which he had shown a patriot's allegiance. She and I had, over the past several years, appeared frequently on stage together, and we talked a lot about politics. But it was only over time that I came to understand Sheehan as a Jeffersonian Democrat in the best sense of that term. She believed, as the third president did, that people should not fear their government, government should fear the people. Now she has come to question whether the will of the citizenry will prevail. It's reasonable to argue with Sheehan about her read of politics and assessment of politicians. She's the first to admit she's no expert on campaign strategy or legislative tactics. But we should recognize the troubling turn politics have taken when one of democracy's true believers ends her intense activism by saying, I'm deemed a radical because I believe that partisan politics should be left to the wayside, when hundreds of thousands of people are dying from a war based on lies that's supported by Democrats and Republicans alike. It amazes me, she said, that people who are sharp on the issues and can zero in like a laser beam on lies, misinterpretations, and political expediency when it comes to one party refuse to recognize it in their own party. Blind party loyalty is dangerous whatever side it occurs on. If we don't find alternatives to this corrupt two-party system, our representative Republican will die and be replaced with what we're rapidly descending to with nary a check or balance, a fascist corporate wasteland. We haven't seen the last of Cindy Sheehan, but this may be the last we see of her as that Jeffersonian Democrat who believed so deeply and unapologetically in America's promise. To my mind, this is the truest measure of darkness in which we now find ourselves. That's what John Nichol writes. Did you look that up, by the way?
Sure. Sisyphus was a Greek king who was, by all accounts, a son of a bitch, so when he died, the gods condemned him to roll a rock up a hill, whereupon it would roll back down the hill, and he would have to roll it back up a hill, so it represents a futile task.
Stuck a rock up his... I see. Yeah, well, a rock, only. See, there you go. He stuck a rock up his, and that's what they ought to do. Get everybody the hell out of there, man. Bring every last man, woman, and child out of there who doesn't belong there, and if they want to kill each other, good, let them have a party. Okay? More power to them. 846 votes on the poll. You got a Made in the Shade. Oh, and with lemonade. And I should mention this again before the break.
What?
Geez, an hour I'm going to be out of here? That's bad. You're going to feel like I'm shirking my responsibility.
Yeah.
Huh?
Did you put your shirk on?
Yeah. In fact, I do have my shirk and pantaloons on right now.
Great.
BSO deputies will be conducting a traffic checkpoint this afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. in the 6000 block of Kimberly Boulevard in North Lauderdale. Vehicles will be inspected for defective safety equipment, and motorists will have to show their driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, and if you don't measure up to snuff, that's right, they're going to snuff your ass.
Is out to get us.
Absolutely.
Wants to rape and destroy our show. Joyce is a fake attorney who don't know nothing about radio. Joyce won't let me. Joyce won't let me. Joyce won't let me play any parts. Joyce went to Jiffy Lube Law School. Uninformed, stupid hag, fraudulent turn. QAM is run by the very fools that wide open. There's more lost everywhere.
Oh my God.
Choice won't let me. Choice won't let me. Choice won't let me.
I don't want to hear any more side business talk about me, anybody else, but I got her in that show. I take efforts to no scandalous allegations made about me. I promise to destroy the only son I get to this business and doesn't have to keep pointing that out. And do you like how I got my job doing something I don't know crap about?
Can't play no more parts. You know we can't play no parts.
If you're a DJ who's also Caucasian, don't even mention the blacks or the Asians. Athletic women with short curly hair. These are the things you can't say on the air.
Oh my God.
Homeless men talking about things quite disgusting. The FCC through your door will be busting. Bodily functions, don't even go there. These are the things you can't say on the air. When Al Sharpton comes to protest, trouble's on the way. Apologize for all the things that you said and update your resume.
I figure we need to hear that one more time, along with the Joyce Won't Let Me.
Right.
Can't say this, can't play that, can't do this, can't do that. Bada-beep, bada-boom. Everybody's pissed off, and, and all these people are dying. 861 vote. We got our priorities. We got our ducks in a row. Let's put it that way, okay?
All right.
Duck rhymes with it sucks. Speaking of that, the Loch Ness Monster captured on video, ? Here's important crap.
That's right.
Edinburgh, Scotland. Those Scottish men between the kilts and golf. What other silly crap have they given us? Well, the Loch Ness Monster, I guess. He's back.
Don't forget bagpipes.
Oh, that's right.
Where would we be without those?
Where would we? We can't play that. We can't say that.
No.
Well, we can play a little bit of it, though. Just for old time's sake. How about?
Hi there, boys and girls.
Yeah, that's enough. well, no sense in getting into a jackpot.
Yeah, no
crackpot.
sense is right.
A man has captured what Nessie watchers say is possible footage of the supposed mythical creature beneath Scotland's most mysterious lake. Oh, wow. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this jet black thing, about 45 feet long, moving fairly fast in the water, said Gordon Holmes, the 55-year-old lab technician from Shipley, Yorkshire, who took the video on Saturday.
Why are you laughing?
Gordon Holmes. I wonder if he's kin to Sherlock Holmes. Nessie watcher and marine biologist Adrian Shine viewed the video and hoped to properly analyze it in the coming months. He's going to analyze it. I see myself as a skeptical interpreter of what happens in the loch, but I do keep an open mind about these things. There's no doubt this is some of the best footage I've seen, said Shine, of the... Wait till you hear this. He's from the Loch Ness 2000 Center in Drumnadrochit on the shores of the lake.
You don't say.
Drumnadrochit.
Matter of fact, I don't think you said.
Holmes said whatever was moved at about 6 miles an hour, kept a fairly straight course. Oh, and by the way, how those whales doing? You people in the news, Brian Williams there on NBC every night. Oh, and the amount of interest in these two whales is so... Yeah, because you keep putting it on the air, that's why. Who gives a crap so there's two stranded whales somewhere? Okay, well, good luck to them. Okay, give them a compass and a road map. It's a whale of a story. Brian Williams can't understand how there's just so much interest in this story. Yeah, because you keep stuffing it down our throat, you crazy people. It's like saying, gee, we don't understand why there's so much interest in the runaway bride. My initial thought is it could be a very big eel. They have serpent-like features, and they may explain sightings in Loch Ness over the years, is what this guy said. Shine. The Shine Man. Loch Ness is surrounded by myth. It's the largest inland body of water in Britain, and at about 750 feet to the bottom, it's even deeper than the North Sea. And when you talk about silly, man, if you aren't thinking about the Brits, although I guess the people in South Africa and India and all around the world who were part of that empire, I guess they didn't feel they were too silly, did they?
No.
There are a number of possible explanations to the sightings in the loch. It could be some biological creature. It could just be the waves of the loch, or it could be some psychological phenomenon in as much as we see what we want to see. Like people who see angels in the sky and Jesus in the clouds and Abraham Solomon in their closet. While many sightings can be attributed to a drop of local whiskey, legends of Scottish monsters date back to one of the founders of the Christian church in Scotland, St. Columba. Oh, I thought he was married to the fat-ass governor, outgoing, who wrote about them in 565 A.D. More recently, there have been more than 4,000 purported Nessie sightings since he was first caught on camera by a surgeon on vacation in the 1930s. Boy, Nessie's one old turd, ain't he?
It is, yes, whatever it is.
Since then, the faithful have speculated about it being a completely unknown species, a sturgeon. Oh, a sturgeon. Let's slice it up and have it for dinner. Even though they haven't been native to Scotland's waters for many, many years, or even a last surviving dinosaur. Oh, maybe it's Dino the dinosaur. Or maybe it's the purple Tinky Winky. Real or imagined, Nessie's long been a Scottish emblem. She's been the muse for cuddly toys and immortalized on T-shirts and posters showing her classic three-humped image. Oh, my God, she's been humped 3 times. On Thursday, a group of Scottish business owners launched a bid to nominate... I had such a great line there, but you know something?
That's right.
We need those checks, man. On Thursday, yesterday, a group of Scottish business owners launched a bid to nominate Loch Ness for World Heritage Site status, though they cited its natural beauty, not Nessie. The Destination Loch Ness Consortium must submit the nomination to the British government, which would decide whether to forward it to UNESCO. Oh, the important things that they're doing with everybody's taxpayer money. The Scottish media is skeptical of Nessie's stories, but Holmes' footage is of such good quality that even the normally reticent BBC Scotland aired the video on its main news program on Tuesday. Oh, hallelujah. If we can just find Nessie. I think now's a good time for you to crank up that, that educational bit we got. Read a book. Read a Mother Scratch.
Now?
Thank you.
Yeah! Ain't ready. What's up, y'all? This your boy G-Mike. You see, I usually do songs with, hooks and concepts and shit, right? But that, man, I'm trying to go platinum. So I'm about to rock this. Check this out, y'all. Read a book, read a book, read a book. Read a book, read a book, read a book. Read a book, read a book, read a book. Read a book, read a book, read a book. R-E-A-D-A-B-O-O-K. R-E-A-D-A-B-O-O-K.
tell you, we'd be okay. It's 11:55 at 560 WQM. Anybody who don't like that is either just, got to be a crazy person.
Right.
Or humorless, or just some kind of a walking turd.
Play it in school.
Every day. And then after we finish playing it, we can read a mother... Anyway, 870 votes on the poll. I think Chris and you are going to make 1,000.
All right.
Let me know. Send me a telegram.
1,000 what?
Pounds of clay with Gene McDaniels. Not.
Yeah.
So we're all caught up. All up to date. I don't want you to get panicky.
Well, it be the 12 to 1 hour on WQAM.
Chris, get a little bit nervous now. I got everything under control. Trust me.
Who that is? Everybody look at who that is. Lordy, Lordy, look at who that is. Daddy, wait to see ribs. He's a racing whiz. Race around in his car, that is. The race driver that never wins. Daddy, wait to see ribs.
Now see here, all you kids. They call me Mr. Ribs. One day soon I'll win a race in my Rocket 88. Oh, well, hey, baby, you sure look fine today.
Uh-huh, Mr. Ribs, did you win the race?
Oh, well, I came in at 35th place.
Well, you earned yourself some ribs on the plate.
Forget that, honey. How's about a date?
I ain't gonna take that chance. Not if you keep coming in last.
Is that why you don't go out with me?
You ain't too slow. You can't compete.
Well, I may be slow on the street, but I sure be fast on my feet.
They call him Mr.
877, man. It feels like heaven. So you got that all straightened out. Now, Chris was confabulating with me there during the break, and I thought we were on the air, actually.
No.
Well, that's good, because that would be, like, awkward. That would be Bush League is what it would. We sure don't want to do that on QAM. And, of course, on on the morning when Barry Jackass writes the column about Joe Rose, probably not going back to 790 and very possibly coming back over here, and how he would replace the Kenny and Bo morning show. On this morning, they go ahead and they put on yet another sports writer. It's almost like a death wish. What do you think Charles Bronson thinks of that show? I bet he likes it.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
a death wish. And then what was this sports writer's name? Chaim Yankel? What was his name?
Harvey Fielkov.
Yeah, don't say that again.
He was a nice
Jeez,
guy.
your ass for that. Wow. I just, I don't know what, well, I guess when you read in the newspaper that you're going to be replaced by somebody, hopefully, it's probably not a good sign. And I'm sure that they're well aware, They're well aware where the door is. This is from The Nation, by the way. Endless occupation, says The Nation. This month marks the 40th anniversary of Israel's occupation of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. It will not escape readers' notice that the three writers who reflect on the occasion in this issue, although coming from widely different backgrounds and perspectives, Miran Benvenisti is a native-born Israeli and former deputy mayor of Jerusalem, Sari Makdisi is a Palestinian-American academic, and Brian Klug, as in Oya Klug, is a British and Jewish Oxford philosopher, expresses similar pessimism regarding the two-state solution. Each of them favorably discusses some form of binational or democratic state in all of Israel-Palestine, whose citizens would have equal rights or shared sovereignty. Nation editors didn't seek out these conclusions, nor do they represent a change in our policy. For many years, this magazine has supported a two-state solution in which Israel would fully withdraw from the territories occupied in '67 in accordance with UN resolutions, and a state of Palestine would be formed in those territories with a capital in East Jerusalem. But we recognize that as realities on the ground shift, so must our thinking. Many have begun to wonder whether partition is still possible given the growing sentiments in the West Bank, growing settlements, the collapse of the peace process, the hardening of Israeli attitudes in the face of a second bloody intifada, the descent of the Palestinian national camp into fratricide, and the unwillingness or inability of the Bush administration to re-engage in serious peace talks or to even recognize the democratically elected Palestinian government. But to abandon the two-state solution as a way out of today's seemingly insuperable barriers doesn't so much answer questions as raise new ones. The chief difficulty is perhaps in popular reception from both Israelis and the Palestinians. While a large percentage of Israelis, anywhere from 40 to 60%, depending on when and how they're asked, support a two-state solution, 95% are more viscerally, emphatically oppose both the binational and secular democratic models. The mainstream of the Palestinian liberation movement, for its part, has for 3 decades supported a two-state solution, and even the Islamist Hamas has indicated it would acquiesce. As with the Israelis, there's no real political constituency in the Palestinian community for the binational or democratic model, just support from a certain if growing number of intellectuals. Also, the Palestinian case for a separate independent state is supported by a vast body of international law and many UN resolutions. If the movement were to abandon that model of national liberation in favor of participation as equal citizens in a one-state or binational policy, it would weaken these legal and diplomatic defenses and the overwhelming consensus of the international community in favor of the unknown. And it goes on at great length. It's on our website, Endless Occupation. And it goes on, and we got Wolf Blitzkrieg on, CNN. I'm telling you right now, man, CNN, when in doubt, let's take them out. What do you say? Let's have an anti-CNN revolution. See, everybody thinks that Fox News is the enemy. Fox News is as naked as, a jaybird.
At least everybody knows what that's all about.
Right. We all know. Anybody with an IQ larger than their thumbnail, than their left testicle, knows all about Fox fake news. But CNN putting on this pretense, and here now we got CNN International, which is very stodgy.
In Lebanon, where violence
there we go. There's that
escalated
goofball with the white hair. Yeah. Sound very intellectual and yada, yada, yada. In the meantime, it's just another propaganda piece. There's nothing like propaganda. Like if you look at a window and there's a bunch of people doing wild stuff, that's a propaganda. Or is that an impropaganda?
Well, it depends on who's doing it.
And who's looking.
Right.
882 on the poll. You better work on it, Chris. I'm telling you right now. I don't want to come back Monday morning and find out, oh, gee, we had 985 votes.
All right, we'll hit that
like
$1 grand.
I beg your pardon?
We'll hit the $1 grand.
The fact that you sit there in a chair and with your fat ass in that chair and just say things as if, just because I told you last week or whenever the hell it was that you've got this magic wand you've been waving because you've been lucking out. Don't get too cocky with that whole deal. Like, well, just because I say it, that's going to make it so,
All right, well, if we don't hit at least 1,000, George won't come back next week.
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. I bet you Josh Cordes might be there next week. I forgot all about that. Well, now, are you going somewhere or what?
Maybe, but maybe not.
Well, what does that mean?
I'm trying to get a posse together to get the hell out of town, but it might not happen.
Oh, posse, you said?
Yeah, I might just stay in town and commit adultery.
That sounds like something to do with a posse.
Sure.
883. Well, they could do it all together. Who's your favorite game show celebrity, panelist, past or present? It's not, it's not one of George's favorites. It's for old farts like me, You said you knew a bunch of these people.
I said I knew at least half of those
Let me ask you this. Who on this poll don't you know?
Let me go through it here.
Paul Lynn, by the way, is kicking everybody's ass. He's got 332. Nobody's even close. Go ahead.
I know who Orson Bean is.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these because of you.
You know all of them.
Hang on.
The only one on here you might not know is Bennett Cerf.
I don't know Bennett Cerf.
From What's My Line? He with glasses, bald, goofy guy, writer. He was a writer. What's My Line was on in the 50s, long before any of you... What?
Boca Brian burns DVDs of those old game shows and makes me watch them.
I understand, but who else on here don't you know?
Other than that, otherwise I wouldn't know half these people. Peggy Cass, I don't know.
Fat.
What?
She was on To Tell the Truth and some of those shows.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, so there you go. So you know all the other ones.
I told you, Mr. Alzheimer's. I'm an old-timer, too.
Mr. Old-timer. Get it right, Mr. Old-timers.
I'm right on your heels with the old age thing.
Don't be a yenta. What?
I'm thinking about the people under 50.
Yeah. Well, they have a place to vote on there. We got 14% who said, I missed out on the golden age of game shows. Too young, my loss. And you're forgetting a lot of people watch the Game Show channel.
Who?
Chicken Neck and,
I don't know. I do watch Match
Game. And Brandon, I think, those two, and then nobody else.
The Match Game reruns. And it's amazing what they could say back in those days.
Yeah.
In the old Freedom days.
Right. That was a pretty raunchy show, and that was back in the 70s.
Scathing. Everything was a filthy double entendre. It was great.
That is correct. I bet you Joyce would have bleeped out everything they had on those shows.
Bleep her.
Let's bring back Gene Rayburn to kick her ass with those bell bottoms and the long mutton chop sideburns.
He didn't have
mutton chop sideburns.
Richard Dawson had mutton chops. Gene Rayburn did not.
Yeah. No, Gene Rayburn did once upon a time. Don't be giving me a Gene Rayburn lesson now. What is wrong with you?
We went through this before, and Boca Brian said, yeah, he's crazy. Gene Rayburn never had sideburns. And I said, I know, he's crazy, man.
Okay, whatever you say.
Bananas, man.
Look, I know nothing, okay?
You know some things.
Yeah. I'm looking desperate. One thing I don't know is how to make this. There it is. Make this work fast, real fast. I mean, I do know how to do it. I just can't.
Blank. Gene Rayburn is blank, blank. That's too bad Gene Rayburn is blank. What a shame Gene Rayburn is blank.
Yeah, he had those sideburns. I'm telling you right now. Once upon a time, maybe just for like a week. What difference does it make? Why would anybody in their right mind argue about
the most important thing in the world?
What, mutton chop sideburns?
You know it, and who had them and who didn't.
Oh, okay.
Mutton. Oops.
Chops. 887 on that pool. I'm working for you. I've got my fingers and legs crossed for you. Okay, Chris?
Thank you.
Because if you don't have 1,000, man, it's going to be Josh Cordes. And when Josh comes back and sits in George's chair next week, I wonder what chair he might be sitting in the following week.
Beware of exploding balls.
Goodbye, Charles Nelson Riley. We rested your head on your favorite pillow that you used to bite to help enjoy your underground view.
Woo! You'll need a pair of concrete shoes. Oh, maybe ladder of rope to keep you from floating.
Dumb Dora was so dumb that when she paid a visit to your grave, instead of flowers she placed it to pay.
That purple one you're so fond of.
You were digging your day when you couldn't say that you were screamingly gay. But that's okay, since everybody knew anyway. And Fanny Flagg outlived you, but the blank. Dom DeLuise, Brett Summers, and her husband Jack would like to say
12:15 at 560 WQAM. Don't forget we got the UN baseball game at 2 o'clock. Be sure and get real close to that dial. Get your hand right on it, and the dial too. Grassroots donors dump GOP. Republican National Committee sacks its telemarketing team. What a shame. Not. Faced with significantly declining contributions from grassroots donors, the Republican National Committee has fired its entire team of telephone solicitors, according to a report in today's Washington Times. That's bad. Faced with an estimated 40% fall-off in small donor contributions and aging phone bank equipment that the RNC said would cost too much to update, Ann Hathaway, the committee's chief of staff, summoned the solicitation staff and told them they were out of work effective immediately. Fired staff members told the Times. Ralph Z. Hallow wrote in the paper. You're fired, did it? Some of the 65 telephone solicitors told the Times that grassroots donors are especially angry with the immigration reform compromise that President Bush and some top Republican leaders are pushing, but one of the fired RNC workers said that the White House was deliberately ignoring these attitudes. We haven't heard anyone in our donor calls who supported the president on immigration. We write these comments up from each call, give them to a supervisor who passes them on to the finance director or national chairman, the former phone solicitor said in the Times. When I talked with the White House, the people there told me they got nothing but positive comments on the president's immigration stand. I guess Lou Dobbs hasn't called there yet, huh?
I reckon not.
Your hero. Crazy person. Although, I agree with him, but again, he's a crazy person. Subsequently, Massey Rich from the Center for Responsive Politics noted a major dip in fundraising by the RNC and other Republican Party institutions. Well, maybe fascism isn't all that popular in America no mo. The GOP's overall haul from its 3 national fundraising committees is down 25% from the equivalent period in 2005. Oh! All right. Just like the church, for crying out loud, their contributions ought to be down by 99%. Only the dumbest of the dumb can continue subsidizing this gigantic closet. But nevertheless, am I going to make a difference?
No.
Am I going to have any impact on anybody? No. It's okay. It won't change my paycheck. 9:04. You're on your way, Chris. You're on your way to San Jose.
Cool.
Aren't you thrilled? Wow.
Extremely thrilled.
On Friday, El Uno de Junio. Mitt Romney says, I'm not anti-gay. I just play one on TV. That's on The Smirking Chimp by Jim David. I wonder if he's kin to Howard David. Oh, God. Or Ted David. I never really thought about that. You think that Ted David might be kin to Mo Howard David?
Distant relations, maybe.
Wow. See, I'll get even with you, Ted, for that crap you people were peddling on CNBC. The new economy and the old economy and all this other garbage. Wow. Bunch of shysters. Anyway, this article says Mitt Romney, that used car salesman presidential candidate, has come up with a new whopper to convince us to buy his Edsel. I'm not anti-gay. He said what you look for in a leader is someone who will welcome and treat with respect people who have made different choices and have different beliefs in their lives and have differences. I have nothing but respect and feelings of tolerance for people with differences from myself and feel that way with regards to those who are gay. I oppose discrimination against gay people. I'm not anti-gay. I know there are some Republicans or some people in the country who are looking for someone who is anti-gay, and that's not me. How about anti-Neil? It says here by Jim David. Looks to me like he saw that opposing any type of legal recognition for gay couples would help him win over the social conservatives he so desperately needs, so he did it. He had no problem with equality for gays when running for governor in a pro-gay state. Now that he's in the big leagues, he seems to want to do anything to win over the right-wingers. Maybe he could imprison a Muslim in his basement. According to the AP, he noted that one of his cabinet members was gay and that he appoints gays to positions of responsibility in his administration. Whenever anyone uses the "some of my best friends are" argument, step out of the way of the flying horse manure. He said he's opposed to gay marriage because it's not in the best interest of children. Okay, I double dare Mitt to walk into Dick Cheney's office and tell him he thinks that Mary and Heather shouldn't raise little Sam because it's not in the kid's best interest, as well as that he has no problem with the fact that Heather has no parental rights whatsoever in the state of Virginia. Would Cheney be able to hiss his "go F yourself" to a Mormon? Yeah, hiss. Those who want to have it both ways say something like, "I like you gay people, you're my friends, you do my wife's hair, you have great parties, and you have a real flair with pillows and fabrics. Go ahead and live your lives and do whatever godforsaken things you do behind closed doors and go to your all-night dance parties and give millions to the travel industry, but if you ask for any equality, forget it." Romney is doing everything he can to present himself as the winner of the swimsuit and evening gown competition and even Miss Congeniality. He shows pictures of his younger mug looking every inch the Teen Beat cover boy. He parades his perfect sons, Scooter, Biff, Abercrombie, Fitch, and the Beaver, as the as the perfect American family, along with his perfect wife, perfect marriage, and perfect bank account. He understands that Americans only want an image and that his family has it all over the philandering ex-president Giuliani's revolving door marriages and that the drunken Bush twins. Americans want a first family that looks great on a souvenir dinner plate. As far as some Republicans or some people in the country who are looking for someone who is anti-gay, and that's not me, well, he's done a pretty good imitation of one so far. He did everything to prevent the legalization of gay marriage in Massachusetts, but chained himself to the State House door. He has said that we need the anti-gay federal marriage amendment, a dead issue in Congress, so many times that you think it's a Chatty Cathy recording. Now he swivels around and says he's not anti-gay. If you buy that, I have a great Corvair to sell you. Counting this guy's flip-flops is like counting bourbon stains on Lindsay Lohan's mattress. Wow. Little shot there. It must be because he's a Mormon. Oh. See, every time somebody takes a shot at Mitt Romney, it's, "Oh, gee, they're anti-Mormon." You know, that's going to be the deal, right?
He's throwing the
They don't want to wear that. They don't want to wear that magic underwears.
Why not? Maybe
914. Now, what kind of pill? Quaaludes we discovered was 714, right? I don't know my drugs, man. That's your territory. I know nothing about drugs.
Well, I'm not a pill popper, although
I didn't say you were. I just said you know a little something about that.
A little.
You probably know some people who are popping them.
Yeah, as a matter
and
of
pills
fact.
too.
Sure.
I've seen a few people pop them.
Papa.
And not pills necessarily. But anyway, so what is it? Oh, it's 916 now anyway, thank God. We don't have to deal with that whole 914 thing. And then I'll get emails about it, and we'll get faxes. "Neil, you better start learning your crap, mister, because you sure do." I don't. I don't know a damn thing about it. I don't want to know. 93, by the way, is the number on the low tension, Benazepril, whatever it is, my blood pressure pill. 93. I looked on it the other day, just so I'd have some idea. You got to know what your numbers are, man. If you're popping a lot of pills, take a look at the numbers before you put it in your mouth. Raw Story says President Bush's surge strategy in Iraq is to blame for the spike in the American death toll, and that's according to the Christian Science Monitor. According to Lieutenant General Odierno, the surge has paid dividends. I wonder if he's got a first name. The surge has paid dividends. 17,946 insurgents detained, 3,180 killed, and 1,016 wounded since January, but it's come at a high cost in American lives. The new strategy under General David Petraeus has left U.S. forces more exposed and led to the third bloodiest month since the start of the war, says the Christian Science Monitor. There were 110 confirmed American deaths in the month of May. Further, most of the violence is in and around Baghdad, where sectarian tensions run high. That makes political reconciliation difficult, and the violence won't decrease until that happens, according to Odierno, who has no first name. I will not be too optimistic. I'll wait and see. I've been here too long to be optimistic about anything we've moved forward with, he said. Michael O'Hanlon, analyst at Washington, D.C.'s think tank, the Brookings Institute, says that the current level of violence continues. If it continues over the summer, then the surge would have to be judged as ultimately futile. O'Hanlon says it's possible you could have progress and not see U.S. fatality rates go down for a while. I think it's relatively hard to imagine that we'd start losing 100 people a month for the summer and be able to term this strategy successful. And the beat goes on, and the bodies continue coming in, the flag-draped coffins, and Cindy Sheehan, throws in the towel, basically. And everybody says, "Oh, we don't want to talk about the bad stuff that's happening. Let's talk about the good things that are happening over there."
Right.
Okay.
Finally, the children have arrived
Right,
at the
there you
hospital
go.
that they can come to with their amputated limbs.
Right. Of course, it's not built yet, and it probably never will be, but nevertheless, it was an honorable idea.
But we've already spent the money.
Right.
Your money.
All right. Oh, my God. That story about the oil, man. That was. Now, are you going to call that guy?
Yeah, I'm going
My
to call him.
close personal friend who was
I'm
actually
gonna call
listening to the show. It's just amazing, isn't it? Sherwood Ross. Sounds Jewish.
Sherwood.
I don't know. What difference does it make? I mean, why would I say something like that? Doesn't that sound
Right.
like sounds like Spencer Ross.
Sure would like to get email from him.
And Stan Bergstein. I know Stan is Jewish. I wonder how Stan Bergstein is. Racing from Yonkers, racing from Roosevelt. One of the great spokesmen in harness racing history. The great Stan Bergstein. I sure hope he's still alive. Don't you start talking about the buggy horses again. Okay, I won't. And what were you saying before about Pompano? This guy, I don't know what you're talking about. What language are you speaking, Chris?
I said that you read Mercedes. and
you
read
said
the other one.
Pompano. Don't you know what Pompano
Mercedes
is?
and Pompano, Pompano Park.
Yeah,
I know.
you didn't say that. You're just confused. Because
I
I was
Pompano,
confused, okay? So I made a mistake, and you wanted to make a big, bloody issue out of it, okay?
Okay.
Many a day I feel I made a mistake, and that was sitting down in this chair at 10 o'clock in the morning. But then all of a sudden, twice a month, I say, maybe it wasn't such a bad move after all.
Hi there, you bastards.
We no longer can say any other everyday words. We gotta fix it, tiny, who the time is white and dirty, no matter how absurd. But we at least can still say toyed. Troy, sexy boil. What a bitchy coil. Walking up the orders like she's in the know. And she never even heard the show. And never turns on a radio. She can draw a bogus contract. Better read it for you, sign.
It says, we reserve the right to pay as little as we like, or you'll be on the unemployment line. Sign on the line, and everything will be fine. Yes.
Troy, sexy boil. What a bitchy boil. Walking up the orders like she's in the know. And she never even heard the show. She don't even have a radio.
12:30 at 560 WQAM, and the fact that Dr. Jack got out today, and the fact that Joyce is still walking around, maybe there's a correlation there. Probably shouldn't have thought out loud and said that. 927 votes, by the way. You got your 1,000, Chris. You'll make it easy.
Cool.
Easy. Don't go pushing beyond that. Whatever you get, you'll get. Still, uno de unio, whatever the hell it is.
The Hunyo de Unyo.
Right, the onion de bunyon. Researchers may have figured out what makes La Vita so dolce in Roma. A report from Italy's National Research Council released yesterday found that there are traces. Wait till you hear this. I never smelt it there. I smelled a lot of other things. There are traces of cocaine and cannabis in the air of the Eternal City, in Roma.
Really now?
Yes. The Institute made the discovery during a study of toxic substances in the air of Rome, Taranto. It's Italian, Taranto. What was I saying just the other day about unoriginal names for cities? God, I hate that. Taranto in the heel of boot-shaped Italy, as well as in Algiers. The results found that in Rome there were traces of cocaine and cannabis, as well as nicotine, caffeine, and benzoprine, which is commonly released in cigarette smoke and auto emissions. Yeah, there's lots of emissions in Rome, I'll tell you that, from personal experience. The highest concentration of cocaine were found in the center of Rome, and especially in the area of the University of La Sapienza, said Dr. Angelo Cecchinato, who led the investigation. Researchers can't say for sure whether high concentrations were registered in those locations, but Cecchinato stressed that the findings don't necessarily mean that cocaine and cannabis are more heavily used there. The report said the maximum concentration of cocaine in Rome, 0.1 nanograms per cubic meter, was 5 times less than the legal limit for toxic substances in the air. Nevertheless, researchers said even a small amount was reason for concern. There were small traces of drugs found in Taranto in Italy and none in Algiers. Well, maybe that's why everybody's bailing out of Algiers. All those Moroccans and Algerians, man, they're like all over the place. They're like the plague in Frankfurt and in London and just everywhere. All the Algerians, they want out, man. Any place where you see the people bailing out like crazy, like South Florida, for example. When in doubt, they're bailing out. There's something really stinks. You know what I mean by that?
No, what do you mean by stinks?
In addition to which, this article is so idiotic. Thanks anyway, by the way, Sean, Mr. Catman. Felix the Cat. But because in Rome, the pollution from automobiles is so heavy and so thick that on one of those real hot summer days, you could plots from it. You know what I'm talking about? The smog?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Makes L.A. seem like an oxygen tent. But nevertheless, 932 on the poll. You're going to make your 1,000. Proud now?
Yes.
See, Fred Thompson's got what it takes to be a Republican. He's an actor. Used to be a politician, then he turned into be an actor. And his claim to fame in politics was ripping the hell out of Janet Reno every time he had a chance, just ripping her in the ass, picking on that poor old Janet, old dyke. Now he's an actor, so that makes him qualified, like George Murphy and Ronald Reagan and Arnold and all these other, a bunch of bad actors. With his movie star swagger, bluff manner, and conservative track record, actor and ex-Senator Fred Thompson is poised to rock a Republican presidential race that has left many true believers cold. The star of internationally syndicated Law and Order and movies like Hunt for Red October will vault into the top tier of the 2008 White House sweepstakes in an immediate challenge to hard-running Republicans John McCain, Mitt Romney, and Rudy Giuliani. Thompson, a craggy 64-year-old, 6'6" former attorney from Tennessee, has dropped broad hints about a run for the White House for weeks and is expected to formally start raising campaign cash just in the next few days. Like it's a surprise, right?
Right.
I can't remember exactly the point when I said I'm going to do this, Thompson told USA Today in an interview published yesterday, but when I did, the thing that occurred to me, I'm going to tell people I'm thinking about it and see what kind of reaction I get. I think a lot of people are going to say,
oh, my God.
Thompson's big-screen career, plain-spoken politics, and hawkish anti-Washington conservatism have evoked memories for some Republicans of Ronald Reagan, who's revered by party faithful and the gold standard for each party presidential candidate. Ronnie Reagan. Isn't it amazing what the passage of time will do? I guess everybody must have caught Alzheimer's from Ronnie because they forgot what a Nazi he was.
Oh, he beat this guy.
Staunchly anti-abortion, pro-gun, pro-tax cuts, Thompson brands Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad a pirate and accuses Democrats of investing in the U.S. defeat in Iraq. He harbors a dark world view of looming future threats to civilization, which he laid out in a keynote speech in California this month, in which he warned of nuclear North Korea and Iran, and accused China and Russia of playing aggressive international energy politics. The United States NATO allies, he warned, were slumbering through a showdown with al-Qaeda's forces of nihilism and darkness. In a recent blog post, he rebuked foreigners who don't like the U.S. Our natural tendency is to tell the French, for example, we'd rather not hear from them until the day when they need us to bail them out again. Thompson's hulking figure and slow southern drawl have overshadowed the Republican race for weeks, even though he hasn't taken part in crowded 10-candidate debates, the third of which is set for next week in New Hampshire, and they say he won't be there. If, as expected, he formally launches a campaign in early July, his presence will add another oversized political personality to a wide-open race already featuring heavyweights like Hillary Clinton and Rudy Giuliani. Bada-beep, bada-boop, bada-bada. And that's something. Fred Thompson, another fascist. So why shouldn't he be the perfect candidate for the Republicans, huh?
Right.
Another Ronnie Reagan without the slick hair, without any hair, basically. Fred Thompson. Echmer candidate. But nevertheless... Okay, you're going to be on in a few minutes here, and boy, what a shame that is. I got my pantaloonies on and my shirt and my shoes.
Good.
Ready to make a run for the cab. So it's like a little bonus. They're going to get a little taste of Georgia here before, before that summer schedule starts. When the hell does that start? Pretty damn soon.
The 25th is when it starts, but then, of course, your vacation starts on the 15th.
Right. So, in other words, like after the 14th, this business of working like 5 days a week some weeks, that goes away for like 3 months for a long, long time.
That's for suckers.
I must be a crazy person working 5 days a week, 4 whole hours a day on the air. And, of course, people say, oh, gee, what a piece of cake, sitting there talking crap 4 hours. Yeah, you try to talk crap for 4 hours, man. Especially in this godforsaken place where every day it's like, what are you going to do for me today, fatso? What are you going to do for me today, fag boy? Huh? Like that. Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do now is the last break, and then I'm going to get out of here.
Right.
How do you like that?
I know.
Now, you're not going to play music, are you?
No. For holiday stuff. Look, you've done the holiday. You refuse to do holidays anymore, and you know why.
What are you talking about?
The holiday shows. You know they're at death now. Nobody's listening, nobody's participating.
That's correct. Why do you
Everybody's
think I put
at the
you on
beach.
there?
I know exactly why. Because it doesn't
matter.
matter.
You could put a tape on there, but then you get the day off, and for crying out loud, we don't want to get you spoiled. You're expecting too many days off. Once you start giving people a bunch of days off, then they expect a lot of days off.
That's
and
right.
then after that...
And money.
Right, and even money for not working. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's that. 23 till 1, and if there's another thing I can't stand is that at 2 o'clock we got a UM baseball game. Oh, wow. Man, we're punishers, we're punishing ourselves. We're beating ourselves up, man. We're flagellating it. baseball against Louisville in the NCAA Columbia Regional at 2 o'clock this afternoon. The Humper will be on after that. Good luck, Humper. You'll need it. Wow. You think we got problems following well. 936 on that poll. You'll slide into 1,000 easy by 2 o'clock. You don't have to worry about being ashamed, Chris. Everything is just fine as wine.
Okay, cool.
I leaned on him a little for you. I said, we don't want to get Chris all embarrassed and humiliated. The fact I'm leaving early today to fly out of here because, then you'd feel bad.
Yeah,
and Monday
exactly.
would come and you'd sit there and you wouldn't say a word because Cordes is going to be in there and you're highly intimidated by him.
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting around with anticipation, watching the clock up there on the wall. Then the bell goes off, but sure gets insane now. And a big stampede will break down the door, and all hell breaks loose when schools let the kids out. 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 School is out in the summertime, and the kids, they're going wild. Most be playing with hoses spraying, but most kids, they head straight down to the mall. Yeah, riots breaking and things are insane now. No more English, history, or the math. Don't panic yet, move out of the way now. Trample everything down that's left in their path. Yeah, the frenzy's on when schools let the kids out. Schools let the kids out. Schools let the kids out. Schools let the kids out.
Wow. Look at that. Excellent timing for that news, too. I get out at 1:58. Boy, they're slicing 2 minutes off of the Friday. And it's a perfect, that's where you would want it, right? I'll take it. I'll take those precious 2 minutes.
Yeah, don't spend them all at once.
I will, because it's vacation next week. Was planning on going somewhere, but it's not going to work out. I was trying to get a guy trip to North Carolina going, which those are fun. And no, absolutely no. None of the significant others out there need to worry. We don't go to redneck bars and try to pick up women. At least that's our official story. The official story is we go up with lots of booze and guns and drink and shoot, like the good old days. Speaking of the good old days, guess what I did yesterday? Did you overhear me talking to Miguel this morning about it?
No.
Talk about reliving my youth.
I heard you saying something. I didn't hear what you did though.
I was roller skating, like the good old days. Adult night at Galaxy.
How was that?
It was great. I love
Did
skating.
you do the inlines or the regular?
I do I have both. I have a pair of each. I use the inlines for outdoors and the quads, as they're called, for the indoors, because that's what we were all raised on.
Exactly.
Is quads. And of course, when the inlines came out, I went and bought me a pair. As a matter of fact, I didn't have skates in those days. I left them in Montana. They got flooded. They got wet. They got lost. So I bought the inlines, and I can't do the things on the inlines that I can do on the quads. And not to mention, and I always have this argument with, well, it's not an argument. Well, I guess maybe it is. All of the discussions with the wife are arguments. And she goes, well, why don't you do, because I keep trying to go to the roller rink, and the schedules are weird.
Yeah, you mentioned something before.
The adult night is too late. It used to be at 7:30. Now it's at 8:30. I'm ready at 7:30. 8:30 to 11:30 is just way too late. I'm already relaxed and sleepy by that time, by 8:30. I don't need to go get something started, especially on a work night on Thursday nights. So there's that, and then there's no one wants to go with me, so I went alone. I tried to get some friends to go. They were supposed to maybe show up. They were going to probably show up, and they didn't. You know how that goes. I said, well, I'm going anyway. But the wife keeps complaining about me going there. I think she thinks I'm going to, meet somebody. And as a matter of fact, she even said that, well, maybe you'll meet some roller girl or something. I said, I hope I do.
Hey, if she looks like Heather Graham, why not?
Why not? Roller girl there. The crowd is a mostly mature crowd. Did I do what? Did I bring my own?
You brought your own skates?
I brought my own skates. I have a pair of each.
Are they street or indoor skates?
I brought a pair of indoor skates. I have indoor quads for the rink, and then I have outdoor inlines for the outdoors. But here's the thing about the outdoors, in case anybody hasn't noticed in Florida, it's really hot and muggy outside. Not the kind of place that I want to skate. And there's no disco music or 70s funk. There's no Rick James. There's no Debbie Deb. I should play some in the background over here just for audio aids. There's no snack bar with large, giant buckets of soda, slices of pizza. no disco lights, no air conditioning, in the outdoors of Florida. The winter, not so bad, but then, I don't know, I like the atmosphere. I like the ability to skate around till I'm tired, grab a Coke, sit, drink it, rest up, let the sweat dry, and then go do it again. Not to mention that you get to see some people doing some amazing things out there sometimes.
Yes.
And there was some guy doing backflips and weird things, so it's kind of like going to the circus, and people say, hey, you talking about being a sports spectator. No, I was a participant. I'm wearing skates on my shoes, on my feet. I'm out there contributing. And as a matter of fact, this isn't like I'm a spectator. This is the competition. This is the guy that I'm trying to look, well, there's no way that I was going to look as good as these guys on wheels. First of all, they were younger, and they're obviously there all the time. But it was a great time, and I had a story. I came home, like the wife went to the spa, and I went to the roller rink, and I thought I was going to come home with a story to make her jealous. And she had one, too.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Hers was actually better than mine, because I met someone named Terry, a lady. See, I was out there skating sideways, and I saw only one other person out there skating sideways, and it was this lady by the name of Terry. Terry,
skating sideways?
Bless her heart, yes. Your feet point in opposite directions.
Okay.
You go around and round and round and round. So I wanted to do some spinning in the middle where you hold, you interlock hands, and you spin around each other really, really fast. And I guess many of those people would have been able to do it, but if you can go sideways, then you can definitely do that. So I approached her, and she said, yeah, let's do it, Sonny. Terry was, I don't know how. I hate to say how old I think she might have been. Because she said, just not too fast, because I have a bad knee.
Did she have gray hair?
Probably under the color that she was using.
Oh, okay.
She was a very good skater. Very good skater. She was wearing leotards. Her body was better than anyone her age should have been.
I can't remember seeing a leotard outside of like a gym in a long time.
It's not what the young skating girls wear, obviously. Nevertheless, we spun in all the directions, and then she said, so how come you don't go sideways here? And I said, I've been doing it all night. And she said, well, do it again now, sonny boy. So that was my jealousy story. I come home with that. Find out that the wife was making time with the teenage lifeguard at the YMCA, talking about Lincoln Park and Ramstein and all this stuff. And I said, "Well, honey, if you want, I'll make you a mix disc that you can give him." She goes, "I don't need your help.
Oh,
I don't need your help." I said, "I know you don't need my help, honey. I know. I'm just trying to be nice over here. I'll drive you to your freaking adulterous hookup. That's how nice I am. Besides, it'll get her out of my hair for a little while. Who knows what I could be doing while she's doing something or someone." So I get home, and I walk into the middle of an argument between her and the teen daughter, because teen daughter apparently has an eye for this lifeguard as well. So they're over here bitch slapping each other over this lifeguard, and I said, "Honey," to the daughter, I says, "Don't you know that your mom's going to just cast him off after she has her way with him a couple times? Don't you know your mom's a slut? That's how you came into existence. Don't you know all these things already by now? Haven't I already told you?"
Yeah, but
haven't all the guys coming in and out of the house that aren't me, hasn't that tipped you off to how slutty your mom is and how she just, she does a volume business while daddy's at work making money to feed her and you and your sister? Don't you know that by now?
I can't see telling your daughter that, hey, just wait for the sloppy seconds. After your mother is a good thing, though.
Mom, you can have your mom's leavings. You just, if you plan to actually compete with your mother, you've got a challenge ahead of you, because she's quite skilled. And she knows exactly what to say to a guy to get him into bed. When you're a teenage, you don't know what to say, and you don't know when to say it, and this and that. The wife knows exactly what to say to get a guy into bed.
This is a younger kid?
My daughter. Oh, the lifeguard. He's 20 more or less.
I can't see it taking more than, hey, you busy?
Something like that. I had a shorter version. She'll just say yes, or now, or just point to a direction. Maybe he'll know sign language. She can just point to that direction over there. So skating is fun. It's just, here we go again. But by the way, they play great music during those flashback nights on adult night, and they do it again on Sunday night. Again, way too effing late on a work night. Although, next week vacation, maybe that's what I'll do, because I got nothing going on. Maybe roller skating, drugs, and adultery.
Personally,
that's my plan. I'll settle for 2 out of 3 of those things. Personally, what?
Personally, the quad skates that I preferred
Yeah.
were the ones with the really big wheels.
Sure, mine are sizable. As a matter of fact, they're in the back of the Durango, just in case a roller skating event should spontaneously occur. Now, when you say that you prefer, does that imply that you actually, A, have the ability, and B, have the desire to go roller skating? Because I'm just dying for someone to go skating at any time.
I don't have my own skates anymore. I used to have the inline hockey-style skates, which I just said no.
Man, I'll buy you a freaking pair of skates if you'll go skating.
But yeah, I mean, I'm up for skating. Me and friends used to go all the time.
You could use some roller skating.
Yes.
It's amazing how many calories it burns, and easily. See, these are the kinds of exercise routines that I'm up for anymore.
They're fun?
Fun, easy. Like, I'll do the yoga because they play this really quiet music, relaxing music, and you're laying on the ground. It's exercise you can do while laying down. I can do that. You might break a sweat, you might not. And here's another thing about yoga. You can totally fake your way through, like, I don't feel like doing this. All right, I'm uncomfortable, I'm not doing that anymore. You can just stop. You can just sit there like a lump. That's what half the class does that. So that's easy. And then the roller skating thing, you skate till you're tired or till you get to the point where you might get tired. You're afraid you might get tired. And you sit down and have a Coke and a slice of pizza. Pizza.
All for me.
So I have a good time, and that guy's going to go like, roller skating faggot. Remember that? You weren't here for that.
No, I don't think I was here.
Yeah, no, it's not cool. I'm sorry. And I'm criticizing Neil for living in the past. There were young people there. There was, at 16 and over, there were the whole spectrum was there. There were some gray hairs there. Still tearing the floor up, though. Like, with skills that I could only envy. Some old people. There were 50-plus, 60-year-old dudes out there that had moves I never saw before in my life. And there were some teenage and young 20-somethings and everything in between was out there.
As long as you're not dressing up like Gold Member, then, it's okay.
No, nothing like that. No one eating back skin over there. Unless it was me. But it's a good time, and I'm going to be going there a lot because you know what else? I've got this new kick I'm on where I decided to get off my ass just a little bit during the week, maybe once or twice during the week instead of sitting and slowly melting into the bed, liquefying as my bones turn to jelly for the rest of my life, which is kind of what I have been doing for the past 10 years or so. Because what's the point? I decided I'm going to get up and move around a little bit like that bit that we have, the Deal and Jenny Ultra Nutra Fast Slim Watchers. Move around more. It's a great way to lose weight. So I did, and I feel my legs are all, sore and rubbery today, and it's a good feeling. It feels like, hey, I actually got off my ass yesterday. Nothing on TV anymore. All the Thursday shows, they had the season finales last week. Office, great ending for all the Office watchers out there. You don't?
I think I missed the season finale. I saw the whole Olympics to become the leader and everything.
Right.
But I think I missed the season finale.
It was good. It was very good. Lots of surprises, lots of comedy. Those of us who were pulling for Jim and Pammy. Jim loves his Pammy.
Oh, so he...
I don't want to ruin it for you, but yeah, because that's one of the things there. It was good. It was a good ending. Everything. And I guess all we have left anymore is The Shield. One more episode, I think, of The Shield.
Guess, yeah.
And that's, boy, talk about ending it well last week, all you Shield people. This week, Tuesday. That was freaking spectacular. Speaking of ending, I guess school's out right now, right?
Correct.
Right now. This was the last day of
Dade
County.
No,
yesterday
Dade
was
County,
Broward. Yesterday
Dade
was
County
Broward.
was 2 days ago.
Right.
Dade County ended before Broward.
Okay. So it's over because Broward was over with yesterday. So
correct.
So that's it. School's out. I'll play us some School's Out songs, I guess, because I'm required to by law, I think, on the last day of school. And that's it. And the summer schedule is going to start. You heard Neil promo all of that. And we're killing this hour, at least, almost an hour, until 1:58. Ooh, sweet. Boy, what am I going to do with those 2 minutes? It's 4 till 1 on 560 WQAM.
Have $1 million weekend.
Yes.
WQAM 56.
Hey, will you guys sign my yearbook?
Can you tell me why you kids marched out of school today?
School's out for bloody summer.
Yes, sirree, boys and girls.
I've been going to this high school for 7.5 years. I'm no dummy.
New graduates are asking for breast implants.
Well, you got no choice. Forget summer choice. Your vacation's destroyed. You gotta be employed. Well, your parents told you. real fast, 7 days a week. Don't that make you gag? School's out for summer.
He's out of high school. He's got a job.
That's not your job.
You've gotta work. What a bummer.
My job is to do my job, you know, and it's hard work.
School vacation's been blown to pieces.
Summer vacation starts at the end of the day.
This vacation sucks.
All right, let's go back to work here.
This sucks. Being here sucks. This work sucks.
Now get to work. Mom and Dad get dirty love.
You've got to get a job.
Let me tell you something. This is a job, not some kind of damn summer camp.
It's not a job. It's a waste of time.
Isn't that your job?
It's a hard job, but then again, I'm a hard man.
What is a job like that pay?
I don't like my job. I don't think I'm going to go anymore.
Well, what a pain in the ass. You'll be cutting the grass the whole time vacation lasts. And you're the only kid you know who got the shaft. School's out for summer.
That's inhumane. You know, I think that's cruelty.
You gotta work. What a bummer.
Oh, this is crazy.
That's crazy.
School vacation's a waste completely.
You know what? It was just a complete waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
Hey, look, you just shut your pie hole and keep working.
So I'm gonna hold you to that, Chris. If you drive up to freaking Davie every once in a while, like on a Thursday night, adult night, or a weekend, they have like a 5 to 8. They have an 8 to 11, which is the same old school kind of music. I'll buy you some freaking skates.
Well, it's Davie's what, like near Nova Southeastern and everything? What's the address?
Not that far. It's like University, just north of Sheridan.
Oh yes, that's not bad.
It's not bad actually. I think you can, from where you're at, way down in Key West. Isn't that where you live?
Not quite.
Dry Tortugas. Don't you live somewhere there? North Cuba. Don't you live in on the Isle of Pines in Cuba somewhere? We're really, really far south. Yeah, you can take like Turnpike, I-75, Turnpike to Hollywood, somewhere like that. It's not such a schlep. I tried desperately to get friends to go with me yesterday, and nobody would. And what do you think of, they announced couples skate, and here's all these goobers out there, these punks out there skating by themselves?
That they're not cool enough to have someone go with them?
I would feel like a dork skating by myself when they're playing a romantic song. It's like going to a restaurant by yourself or something and just sitting there with a candle at a table, and when they find out that you're alone and they come take all the places, all the other places away from there, it's like, oh, they're alone. It just you look like a sad, pathetic fool. Speaking of sad, pathetic fools, look at this guy over here, the TB guy. What a hole! What a bunghole!
I'm actually looking at Soleil Moon Fry.
What are you on?
E.
She has huge boobs. Let me change it to
well,
that.
She got
then.
them smaller.
I know she got them reduced. I've seen this show.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen
She's got a big nose. I'm going to put it on there, the Escándalo TV. Speaking of boobs. Yeah, Andrew Speaker, and they tape recorded his conversation with his lawyer and the CDC and everything so that he could cover his ass. And he traveled all around the world with TB. What a guy. Who do you dislike more, him or the spammer? Well, I'll answer the question right now. Did you see this? Did you hear that they arrested one of the top spammers? You know how much we all love spam. And having to delete all that stuff. Yeah. Robert Allen Soloway, a 27-year-old man living in, Seattle or somewhere? He would use viruses that would infect other people's computers to turn them into zombie computers, to have other people's computers email to spam everywhere. He's one of the top 10 spammers in the world. And I'm looking for, they're charging him with 35 counts. Mail fraud, wire fraud, email fraud, aggravated identity theft, money laundering, all of these things. And they're only, I don't know what they're seeking, but they're trying to get his money back. $773,000, that's not very much from his company. And he's got a public defender. How do you like this guy? Seriously. I would dance on his brains.
All that money he's using a public defender.
Yeah. So we're defending him. I would club him to death and giggle like a girl while doing it. These scammers, boy. Yeah, where does the line form for that guy? The tuberculosis guy and then the spammer guy. I guess we could possibly take some phone calls today, right? Just to be novel, just to be cute. Although you don't have to answer this one because I know who it is. QAM, hello.
George.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Hey.
I was wrong.
Jim, the lawn guy.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, man. Hey, listen, the inline skates, man. I heard you talking about them things.
Yeah.
Are those things tough to ride on? I've never done it.
No, actually not. Even though I prefer the side by sides or the quads, the inlines have a stiff boot, if you will, so your ankle doesn't move sideways as much, and you also don't tend to fall forward or backwards because the blade area is longer than the quad area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's kind of like being on skis. It's very difficult to fall forward on them unless you try. So, no, it's not. As a matter of fact, for a new skater, the inlines are probably better than the other kind, even though, and then people are going to call up and argue, I like the other kind better. I'm more comfortable on the other on the quads.
All right, maybe I'll try those inlines. I've been
There you
checking those out. All right, appreciate it.
I can't do a thing with them, especially on the rink, man. You slide around all over the place on that floor. It's like glass when you're using inline skates. QAM, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you doing?
Oh, great. Hope I don't get let down with the last couple of Sopranos, but I got a feeling we are.
You know, at this point, it's kind of like we're just coasting to the end, aren't we? We made the commitment from the beginning. We're not expecting anything. We just want to see it end somehow.
Right. Well, if they're smart, they could do what Steinfeld should have done, left it open, and then there could be the first time ever where the consumer could go to the movies and actually see a movie. But two other things I want to ask you about.
I had heard that before that they were thinking about that, but what do I? You know, I hear lots of things. Go ahead.
There's something out there, a red Trojan virus that hit my wife's computer while she was in a website dealing with teachers, and it backdoored us, and it totally destroyed
I hate
our
getting
operating
backdoored.
system.
As a matter of fact, that's why I don't bend over unless my back's to a wall.
Right. And also I want to say, thank God you heard of Purple Haze. Well, I saw Mr. Red Haze. Have a good one, George.
All right, take it easy. There's red haze in town, and I don't have any. QAM, hello. QAM, hello.
Yo, man, I was telling you to go to Gold Coast like months ago. It's crazy that you went to Galaxy.
No,
Isn't it real small?
Listen, because I'm actually closer to Gold Coast, but I check out their, well, first of all, they don't have a website, so I have no idea what their schedule is. The last time that I went to Gold Coast, it was the wrong night.
You got to go on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night's gay and lesbian night. I called them up.
It's lesbian and mixed night. It's a bunch of FIU people that go out there, and believe me.
I called them up. They said gay and lesbian night, so guess what? Sorry.
All right.
Wednesday night is ladies' night. I'll go there, but I don't know any ladies. QAM, hello.
Yeah, George?
Yeah.
Have you heard about the new Quentin Tarantino movie, Hostel 2?
Yeah. I thought it was Quentin Tarantino Presents. In other words, they just paid him to use his name like they did on the first one.
Yeah, Quentin. I think Quentin sucks.
Yes, he does. And Hostel 1 sucked, and I can't imagine that Hostel 2 will be better. QAM, hello.
George.
Yeah.
Hey, in your opinion, what band or just singer has done a cover song and made it better than the original?
You know, we could build a list because a lot of songs that you think are original are actually a cover of something so ancient that you never heard of it before.
Right. Well, one that I'm thinking of is Whiskey in a Jar. Thin Lizzy did it awesome, but that song is like older than dirt.
Yeah.
It goes back to Ireland, like way back.
I can't answer that quickly. I'll make a list, and then the next time that I'm on, which is going to be in a week or 2 weeks, we'll talk about that. That's an excellent thing to discuss. Which cover? You know what? We can take a poll.
Yeah. Okay.
We can kill a poll with that. What cover song was better than the original?
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll discuss. QAM, hello.
Hey, it was nice to hear you talk about skating and about Debbie Dab. I love Debbie Dab. And when I got my iPod, I was so excited that iTunes has Debbie Dab and Megatrons and Freestyle. So when I go to the gym and work out on the elliptical, I just dance to that music, and it's the best. Absolutely.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm there.
Yeah. That's it. Look out weekend, baby.
Listen, because it's coming right up. Do you skate? Do you go to Galaxy Thursday nights?
Very good. I love it.
All right.
Bye.
Take it easy. I'll see you at the rink. Try to generate some activity over there. In the summer, I got to check their schedule. I should have grabbed the schedule while I was there. Because they have these, like, wide-open, day-long sessions in the summer. I could just go right from work. What else do I have from Debbie Deb? I got Debbie Gibson, too. How'd that show up here? I got this, too. I don't know why we're playing this. We need to go into the break. We got to take the breaks a little bit earlier than usual this hour, don't we? Because of those two musics. Those 2 minutes. Look at that, I'm Freudian all over the place. And I still haven't even talked about eHarmony and Match.com. Did you hear that story?
No.
They got issues. $111 on 560 WQAM.
There will be no sad dishes.
Let's get you in the mood.
Be with such a dorky man. When I'm out all the time with her, they ask, how did I find someone so fine? Well, she's one of the sexiest on earth, and she must be out of her mind. So I keep waiting, waiting for her mind to change. Yes, I'm waiting for her mind to change. So I just keep on smiling. I'm getting away with something. Keep waiting for a mind to change. Waiting for a mind to change. Waiting for a mind to change. I'm waiting for a mind to change.
117, 560 QAM. The gold lame painted on pants on the Escándalo TV dancers today are something to see.
Wow.
They're shiny, painted on. They are freaking painted on. There's no way, because they're too shiny to be very stretchy, you know? That kind of material can't stretch much. So they must have been custom made for these babes. 567-0560 in Dayton, Broward. Pound 560 is free if you have AT&T Wireless or Verizon Wireless. 877-785-6345 is the toll-free everywhere else line. UM Baseball. There's no pregame. It just goes right into it.
I guess it's going to be
like
a quick 10-minute pregame.
At 2 till 2 is when that starts. UM versus Louisville. Hank after the game. Miami Dolphins All Access at 7 o'clock. Marlins on deck at 7:30. Marlins and the Braves at 8:05. Ed Kaplan whenever the hell the game ends. So this is something interesting. I bet you I'm going to surprise you with my comments. I surprise a lot of people sometimes.
Okay.
eHarmony sued in California for excluding gays. Did you hear about that story?
I've heard something about it and hear the whole story.
Well, eHarmony apparently was founded in 2000 by evangelical Christian Dr. Neil Clark Warren, and still has strong ties with religious conservative groups of like Focus on the Family. They have 12 million registered users, the heavy ad campaign, this and that. And their defense is that their technique is based on research that they do, and their research has to do with what makes men and women compatible, and they just haven't gone there. They haven't done research about what makes same-sex couples compatible. Same-sex suckles.
Really?
Compatible, yeah. And here's the thing on that. If you go into a business and they don't want to do business with you, walk out.
Just walk away.
It's the same as like when you hear people bitching. People call the show, I went into a business and they didn't speak any English. So do the thing that would piss them off the most. Turn around, spin on your heel, do a 180 and leave, and go patronize a business that will accommodate you. We could build a long list of reasons why you'll want to turn around and walk out of a business. They don't speak the language that I prefer or the language that I exclusively speak, because even though I speak another language and a little bit of another, even if that, like I'm, I can get by in sign language now, as you know. I can even offend the deaf, which was the goal. Hitting on deaf chicks and being able to offend deaf people. There's a whole segment of the population out there not being pissed off by what I have to say. And I'm not going to let them get away with that. But I prefer doing business in English because that's the language that I know best and I'm most comfortable in. So if they can't accommodate me in English, I leave. If they don't want to do business with short people, I leave. You know, you might think that's funny, but like I walk into a bar, I can't get a drink. I have to stand on a chair and jump up and down to get somebody to notice me. So if they don't notice me, I leave. If your online dating matchmaking service doesn't want to accommodate your sexuality, go to one that does. Give them your money. It's economic evolution. It's economic democracy. As a business owner, you should not have to cater to a clientele that you find unsavory or that you feel that you can't accommodate. That's America. That's freedom right there. eHarmony does not have to accommodate anyone. And as a matter of fact, isn't that the Match.com ad or something like that?
I think that's
so many millions of people have been rejected by eHarmony, but we won't reject. And I'm thinking, that's a commercial? In other words, you're saying that you'll take anyone. So if I go to Match.com, I don't know what kind of maniac I'm going to find on there because you people take anybody. Is that what you're saying in your commercial?
Yes.
You ever known anyone to get busted because of Match.com?
I haven't, no.
I have.
Was it fun to hear about?
Yeah, absolutely fun to hear about. My suggestion to you is that if you're in a relationship, if you're married, if you have a girlfriend, or if there's a male or female that you're stringing along for your own selfish, convenient purposes, bear in mind that they might find your profile on Match.com and realize that their relationship with you is not what you're representing it as. But, on the other hand, it does make for some funny and amusing episodes in life. QAM, hello.
Hey, what's up, Jorge?
How you doing?
All right, man. I'm the guy that sent you those Grindhouse trailers.
Sweet. I've been watching them. I already had one of them actually on VHS, so it's good to have them on a DVD format.
No, that's cool. Yeah, no, I was just calling to see if you'd watched them at all.
Oh, you know it, man. I put them on for my friends, all the pipe hitting ends, and we had a great time with that.
Cool, man.
We
Cool.
smoked bowls and enjoyed them all. I love the Something's Weird, whatever, company or videos or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
They're my favorite, as you know. I live for those movies. My brother got me started in those, and then he died and left me his collection. And we were adding to it while he was alive, too. And I might add to it still. This is great. By the way, Boca Brian scored this for me. This is just the music. Isn't that great? Instead of, because, I mean, at the beginning of all the DVDs, as you know, they have the clips of the movies to this tune. And Boca Brian actually found the tune for it. Or I did. One of us did. So thanks. Yes, thank you very much. All right?
Well, listen.
I'm listening.
Since you got around to watching those, I'm going to send you some more.
Okay.
Not trailers, but some actual films this time.
Sweet.
So, just I'll email you for the address or whatever, but just to let you know, I'm going to send you some more stuff. So just
great. I love it. Keep
all
building
right.
that collection. All right. I like it when listeners send me stuff. QAM, hello. Chris is distracted. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Who are you?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello? This is great. We could kill all day doing this.
Yeah, we could.
Are you a normal person? Are you a sane person?
Richard Dawson was not on Match Game. Richard Dawson was on Family Feud.
Richard Dawson, my brain-dead friend, was the host of Family Feud, but he was a panelist on Match Game, the most popular panelist of all.
Didn't know that.
Well, there you go. We're here to educate. It's infotainment at its best here on the Neil Rogers Show. QAM, hello.
Yeah, let's talk about Gene Rayburn and sideburns.
Let's. Go ahead. You first.
George, it's hard to agree with you, but you're right.
I know.
He definitely didn't listen.
He was thinking of Richard Dawson. We watched the game. Remember when was it the Game Show Network was playing them back to back, like 2 episodes back to back of Match Game?
Oh, it was great. Are you kidding? I love that network. Listen, that trip to Carolina sounds like a great deal. Sounds fantastic, man. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, but, not with anybody that, not with you.
Not for the of course, any because the call is...
One of these days, we'll get another guy trip going. Those are fun. I don't have to do all the driving. I don't have to do all the wood chopping and hauling. Should a bear attack us, we'll draw straws to see who has to deal with it.
And what is it, South or North Carolina?
North. Every time you hear about North or South, something like North, South Dakota, East, West Virginia, there's a reason for that. And it usually involves one group is a bunch of backwards mugwumps, and the other group doesn't want to have anything to do with them.
I'm thinking of moving to Cranberry.
I don't know where that is.
Geez, neither do I.
All right, well, have a good time and let me know how it is when you get there. QAM, hello.
Hey, George.
How are you?
A rainy good afternoon to you.
Is it raining? Great. I heard it's going to rain all weekend long. You know what that means? That means I'm not going to have to do anything. I'm not going to have to drive anywhere. I'm not going to have to do any yard work. I'm not going to step and fetch.
Not
Nothing.
Listen, I wanted to thank you for I picked them up today, the Chick-fil-A coupons. And
you're very welcome. Chick-fil-A is great.
And a cool little calendar. I wanted to say about Dickie Dawson. I met him once. He was a totally disagreeable SOB.
This is what I heard. Now, he might have been drunk, though. Do you allow him a little bit of slack? Because I understand that he was drunk pretty much all the time.
He was tanked.
Sure.
I mean, the way you can smell weed on somebody's breath, you could smell scotch on his.
I mean, there was no question during the filming of that show, during the taping, I should say, that he was plastered.
But I'm a huge fan of his, and I really like him in The Running Man.
Yeah, he was good in The Running Man. He was good in Hogan's Heroes, so he was a drunk. He's a lush.
Anyway, have a great day, and thanks for the coupon.
You bet. Have several. 126 on All Faking Your Way Through an Hour Radio, 560 WQAM.
The problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. You just slip out the back, Jack. Make new plans, and you don't need to be coy, Roy. Just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free.
Oh, I could have done a little bit more with that. Stephen Hawking, ladies and gentlemen, 29 till 2 o'clock, 560 WQAM. We're out of here at 2 till. Ooh, what a bonus. I knew that, when Clarence came in and said, I got the best news, and he's waving his arms and he's all excited. I knew it was going to be something sarcastic. Very negligible. Sure. Especially, what was it, that Memorial Day? Initially, we thought we were getting out of here at 1:15.
Yeah.
That is significant. That's worth getting excited about. No, psych, 1:45. We'll take it.
Better than nothing.
We'll take 30 seconds at this point. QAM, hello.
Hey, George, how you doing?
How are you?
Oh, not too bad. A while ago, I sent you a CD by a band called Benedictum. I know you got it.
Is that the heavy metal band?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want my review, I got it. I listened to it. I listened to it twice.
What did you think?
I thought they're good. The songs aren't bad. The sound is very dated. I don't think they have a future. I like track number 4, whatever that was called. I listened to that one actually more than twice because I thought it was good. It just sounds very retro, but not in a good way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It sounds like people that are playing some of the old tunes that they liked. Although they're original enough and they've got the skill, I just think that that they need a tweaking, a retooling, if you will. Just the sound of them, because their tunes are original enough, but the sound of it sounds very, very throwbackish. Very old, very old school, but not different enough. Like, you know what I mean? When retro is good, it reminds you of some old sound, but it's obviously not. This was just very much stuck in the past.
Okay.
But that's it. But as far as their skill goes, they're good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'd go to a show if they played at a bar. I'd go there and enjoy myself.
Okay, that's
all right.
That's great. All right, man.
No problem. And I wish I could say nicer things, but there you go. QAM, hello.
Hello, George.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, that music you were playing before the break for the coming attractions, that used to be the music for the old Spider-Man cartoons from the 60s.
Get out. That's Something's Weird tune?
Yeah.
This here?
Yes, that's from
really?
the 60s.
I used to watch from the 60s, though. Yeah, a little bit before my time. I mean, I was born in the 60s, but I don't remember no TV from then unless it was a rerun.
Well, no, it was the old Spider-Man cartoons, and it was really good. It was when the cartoon was really good from the 60s. So I remember the music.
Well, good. Well, thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Just want to let you know. Bye-bye.
Thanks a heap. QAM, hello. Hello.
Hello, George.
Hello, caller.
Dímelo, Jorge.
What do you know?
Brother. Hey, nothing, man. Hey, sorry to backtrack up on you, man. But
no, of course not. If you've got some time-killing material, I want to hear it. I don't care how back you have to go.
Hey, man, this morning I was listening to those idiots. What's his name? Paul?
I don't know. We've been getting a lot of spy reports, and quite frankly, we don't care. Are you calling from inside the building?
No, negative.
Listen, it's a very old strategy. They have a small audience. We have a large audience. They want us to talk about them. It's a siphon effect. When someone with a large crowd talks about someone with a small crowd, the person with the small crowd benefits, and we don't need to talk about them.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That's
all right.
all about what I was talking about. Anyways,
Hey, dude, that hilarious bit about the read a book. Where'd you get that from, bro?
Okay, I got it from my daughter. Her circle of friends was aware of it. I don't know who discovered it first. The guy's name is Dmite Arma, Bomani Dmite Arma, and he has a MySpace site. You got your crayon?
Yeah.
All right, write this down. MySpace.com/KNOT a rapper, not a rapper.
Not a rapper. Okay.
KNOT a rapper. And that's his MySpace site. The song that you hear us playing, I stole it right off his MySpace site. I rolled it onto one of our devices over here and bleeped it, processed it, and reserved it up for y'all.
Dude, that is so true to 90% of the chicks in South Florida. And Neil is God.
Yes, he is. Talk to you again. QAM, hello.
George.
What?
Hey, I'm driving back from Orlando. It's freaking boring. Can I put in a request?
I will consider your request seriously.
The turd in the back seat, so I can
No. QAM, hello. It's
George.
long. I normally fall into something like that, but no. Neil played it just recently, like last week. Hello.
George,
Yeah.
what's up, brother?
You tell me.
Nothing. I heard your comment before. You're talking about things that come from Scotland, and I know you educated me on a million
Neil.
things.
But yeah, that was Neil talking about that. But whatever, I'll take it.
Okay, but anyways, you said the bagpipes. Actually, the bagpipes originated in the Middle East.
Okay, well.
And the Scottish just perfected it.
I'm not gonna. I mean, everybody had bagpipes. Actually, the Irish did, the Spanish did, the English did. It's just that they made it famous. I didn't know that they came from the Middle East. I'll take your word for it. How's that?
Cool. Sounds good. Have a good weekend, George.
All right, take it easy. A lot of stuff came from the Middle East, but we don't want to talk about that. Give them any credit. QAM, hello.
Hey, George, what's up, buddy?
How are you?
Hey, man, I got two songs that were covered. One was Phantom of the Opera by Blink 182.
They covered the Phantom theme?
Oh, dude, it's really good. You can find it on LimeWire. And the other one is the Metro, the old Berlin or whatever.
Yeah.
By Alkaline Trio. And you can find that on LimeWire also. But the Blink 182 one, the Phantom, is about, I swear, it's like a minute and a half, but it's really good, man. You might want to check it out.
Metro by Alkaline Trio and the Blink version of Phantom.
Right.
I still like Adam's song.
Blink 182. It's really cool.
Right. All right.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take it easy. QAM, hello. Hello.
George.
Caller.
George.
Caller.
Jew Fiedler.
QAM, hello.
George.
Yes.
May I ask for a request of the Ebonics Airways sketch?
Oh, man, what's with all these, I see a theme developing over here.
Kill some good time.
It will kill some good time. It'll kill it bad. I'll consider it, all right?
Thanks, man.
All right, bye. Because, well, here's the thing. Neil won't play that. He doesn't think it's funny. I don't know if that he doesn't think it's funny. Well, it's long. It's too long. And that's the truth. It's way too long. Way longer than it needs to be. QAM, hello. But
George?
Kill some good time. Yeah, hello.
Hey, man. Next month is the Hookie Lao. What all is that about?
I have no idea. I never heard of that. Hookie Lao?
Yeah. It's like some Polynesian festival, like Bahia and different places.
I don't know. I'll ask my contacts in the Polynesian community about it.
All right, cool.
I'll get back to you on that, but not today. QAM, hello.
Hey, George,
Hey,
how you doing?
caller, how are you?
Good. I was just curious, man. What's the story with LimeWire? I mean, why is it that Napster gets shut down, but LimeWire is up and running with no problem?
I wish I could answer that. I don't know. I
love it.
I presume that it's only a matter of time before they get around to them.
Okay, well, I thought maybe
Was Napster? I never got to use Napster. I was not into that at the time. By the time Napster shut down, that's when I was starting to figure out what to do and how to do it. So I don't know exactly what the deal is with that. But you're right. I don't know. I guess it's because of the legalese that LimeWire uses, the licensing agreement, that it's peer-to-peer. In other words, you accept the responsibility. They're just providing you with some software and what you do with it. I don't know if you noticed that when you install it, you have to click, I will not use this for any illegal activity, like 500 times before it'll install.
Yeah.
And there you go. So we still don't know. QAM, hello. Hello. No time to wait. QAM, hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, is this George?
This is George.
Hey, George, I was wondering, is there any way you could please play that Read a Book song? I was looking for it, and it's really, really funny.
It is really funny. You listen, myspace.com/, because you want the uncut version. You want to hear all those words that we can't share because,
all I find is a minute
the Christians
and a half
have a problem with it, even though there's nothing in the Bible about any of those words. MySpace.com/not-a-rapper, spelled Knot.
All I find is a 1 minute version.
No, he's got it on there on his player, man. The whole thing, the full-length song. That's where I got it.
All right, thanks.
Trust me. All right, and you might be able to find it on LimeWire. 20 till 2 on All Stealing Other People's Material Radio, Paul and Ron, 560 WQAM. You know, all those sounds scare the hell out of me. That promo should be illegal.
This station presents What If They Were Alive Today?
June 1st, 1968. Helen Keller dies at the age of 87. Keller, despite being blind and deaf, was an inspiration to disabled people around the globe. But we ask,
What if she were alive today?
All right, our next comic coming to the stage is a Chucklehead favorite. You're going to love her. Please welcome the self-deprecating humor of Helen Keller. Come on, let her hear it. Come on now. There she goes. Come on, Helen.
Hey, how you doing? What a great-looking audience. How did I burn the side of my face today? I answered the iron. How did I burn the other side? They called back. Thank you and good night.
Join us again for another What If They Were Alive Today?
All right, Chris, we're going to have to do some math over here. You got your calculator? If that last break is 4.5 and we have to leave 2 minutes early, that means we have to leave 6.5 minutes before. That's at 54.5. Does that sound right?
53.5.
53.5. Like I said, see, I can't do math. Math is my thing. That's including the break. And all right, well, let me ask you this, because let's do this, because I think the read a book needs to be played. It's fresh. It's not like the other tired bits that the people are requesting, the Ebonics Airways. And what else was it? The tow yard complaint. By the way, for those of you with the notebooks, the turd on the back seat, that's what everyone calls it, is called tow yard complaint. We didn't name it. That's what it was called when we got it. That happens all the time. The audience renames things, in case you didn't know. Like bridge tender. They just kept requesting the bridge tender. Play the bridge tender. That guy isn't a bridge tender. It's an old man who has a boat who was complaining, who called up complaining. And they were talking about the bridge tender. See? When that guy made that call, I carted it up. Thank you, Mitch Lewis. He said, that's a pretty funny call. You should cart that whole thing up. And I said, all right. I'll humor him. And I labeled it Old Boat Dude, because it was an old dude with a boat. And that's what the cart was called forever, up until we dubbed it into the DCS. And then finally, when we dubbed it into the DCS, it's like, just put it in there under bridge tender. Nobody will know what you're talking about if you don't say freaking bridge tender. QAM, hello.
Hey, Georgie.
How are you?
What's going on?
You tell me.
What kind of vehicle are you looking for?
Toyota truck.
Only Toyota?
An only truck.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I know. I got your facts. If I didn't respond to it, what do you think?
Well, I don't know.
And I saw those Honda trucks. They look nice, but and as a matter of fact, I was in traffic sitting right next to one. They're every bit as big, if not bigger, than the Durango.
Right.
And I want to go a little bit smaller. I don't make the kind of money Chris makes.
Why don't you get the Element?
The what now? The Element?
Yeah.
That weird look. I need a truck, something with a bed that I can throw dirt into the back of.
I got you.
All right.
I got the BMW.
I need to haul crap. The SUV, I throw things into the back of it, then I've got dirt and wood pulp and chips and mulch and on the carpeting, and it goes into the cracks and everything like that. I need me a good redneck-worthy truck. Although,
I got you.
I guess Toyotas aren't redneck-worthy if you get right down to it, but whatever.
No problem, buddy. Whatever makes you happy. That's
what makes me happy would be a two-seat, like a Corvette or an MR2 or something like that. Or maybe one of those little three-wheeled things that nobody else can fit in but me.
And they can get Crystal a Vespa.
Right.
Vespa.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, buddy.
Later on. Say hi to the wife. QAM, hello. Why do people that know me call me on the air? Hello. Actually, he doesn't. He only knows me from the show.
George.
Hello.
Hi, George.
How are you?
Excellent, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good to hear. I was just...
313, wait a second. All right, Chris, add this. 2 and 4.5 is 6.5, and 313 is what?
9:43.
Okay, thank you. All right, continue.
Yes, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, no, about read a book. Actually, if you check out YouTube,
yes.
Somebody, I don't know if you already heard about it, but somebody made a video
in
regards to it, and there's also actually a cartoon as well.
The Reading Rainbow version, kind of, with the little clips from Reading Rainbow. You're the Man Now Dog has a loop of it. That was the first thing that I encountered.
Right, but there's actually also, like, there was originally a cartoon short on BET.
All right.
And there's actually on, like, the right side, you know, where they list the other videos.
Well, he's our new hero. He deserves the Education Award of the Year.
I completely agree. I still
D-Mite Arma. Bomani D-Mite Arma. What a name. You're not going to sell anything with that name, D-Mite.
But anyway, just wanted to let you and the listeners know, just in case they haven't checked it out. So check out YouTube.
All right, we will. So
All
you
right.
said 9:45, Chris? 9:40 something?
It's 3:13 on the song, right?
Okay.
9:43.
All right, we got 15 seconds then. QAM, hello.
George.
Yeah.
Hey, you said you're looking for a truck?
Yeah, Toyota.
The Ford with the 300 cubic inch 6-cylinder, greatest truck on the planet.
I'll consider your consideration, but I would like a jet car. Thank you very much. And that's it. We're out of here. We're going to play that song, and then we're going to split ski. It's 10 till 2 on 560 QAM.
Yeah! Ain't ready. What's up, y'all? This your boy D-Mite. You see, I usually do songs with, like, hooks and concepts and shit, right? But that, man, I'm trying to go platinum. So I'm about to rock this shit. Check this out, y'all. Read a book, read a book, read 'em up.